Jerusalem Fivefold Ministry. Councilperson Brian Zacharias will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll invite Pastor Walker to please come to the well. And ladies and gentlemen, you may stand if you wish. Pastor Walker.
Let us pray. Gracious God, our Father, we thank you right now. Before we ask you for anything, we want to thank you for everything, because you said in your word, every good and perfect gift comes from above. So God, we thank you. And God, we thank you right now for this council. We thank you for this mayor of our city, God. We ask right now that they will rule righteously right now, because you said righteousness exalts a nation. So God, right now, we just thank you that we are all your children. God, you said it is you made us and not we ourselves. So therefore, you are our creator. So God, we come to you tonight asking that you would sanctify this place, this building, for the master's use right now, that you would receive the honor, the glory, and the praises, God. And God, right now, we just ask right now that we would pray for peace for the city. That's what you said in your word. And when we pray for peace unto the Lord for the city, then we will find peace. So God, this has been decreed that Clarksville is the city of hope. But God, I heard you speak to me in a small, still voice. You said this is hope unlimited. There is no limit in you. God, you are able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we can ask or think, but it's according to the power that worketh in us. So God, right now, we ask that you would call to our remembrance the scripture that says, by this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love one to another. Give us that same love that you had on Calvary when you gave your life as a ransom for everybody in this room, everybody in this city. Give us that same love, that love that's unconditional, because you said love one to another. You just didn't say for another. That unconditional love that you had. God, let us show love one to another. And we want to be called your disciples. In the final analysis of it all, God, when they ask, how did we die? It's not how we died, it's how we lived. God, let us live to love one another as you have loved us. It's in Jesus' great big name we ask all of this, believing that we're going to receive it. Amen and amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Zacharias? Here. Ms. McLaughlin? Here. Mr. Little? Mr. Red? Here. Ms. Marquise? Here. Ms. Smith? Here. Mr. Holloman? Ms. Allen?
Present.
Ms. Reynolds?
Here.
Ms. Friedman?
Here.
Mr. Shekinah?
Here.
Ms. Lovato? Here. And Mayor Pitts.
Here.
All members are present with the exception of council members Little and Holloman.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have a couple of special recognitions. I'll call on Councilperson Zacharias, and you're recognized in the well.
All right, I can adapt. So we just said the pledge and called roll, so I'm kind of going into teacher mode right now. But if I could have Miss Denise Skidmore join me up here, please. While Denise is joining me up here in the well, I have to tell a story about why this proclamation and presentation is so important to me. I was in my first faculty meeting before I even got into a classroom as a first-year teacher. And the administrator that gave me a chance and offered me that position, he said a sentence that has stuck with me more than probably any other faculty meetings that I've been to since then. And that was, he said, you cannot get to Bloom without going through Maslow. And for the educators, Bloom's taxonomy is a way that we kind of measure levels of learning, and then Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These are the things that we as humans need to be successful in life. And with that sentence, what he was saying was, we cannot hope to teach these children unless we have met their needs as human beings first. That was an eye-opener to me, because I realized that all those great ideas that I had of things that I was going to do with my class and engaging lessons were going to be meaningless if my students couldn't concentrate because they hadn't eaten since lunch at school the day before, and they couldn't wait to go back to lunch so they could eat again. And that is why the efforts of Ms. Sizemore and the FUEL program that we are recognizing today with this proclamation are so important. I'm going to read the proclamation, and then I'd love to give you the floor to speak a little bit about it. All right. Proclamation, Hunger Action Month. Whereas hunger and food insecurity remain critical issues affecting many families in our community, with 1 in 6 children in Tennessee facing hunger. And whereas September is recognized nationally as Hunger Action Month, a time when people across the country stand together to fight hunger and raise awareness about the issue. And whereas the FUEL program has been a vital resource in our community, providing weekend meals to school children who might otherwise go hungry. And whereas the FUEL program relies on the dedication and generosity of volunteers, donors, and local organizations who work tirelessly to ensure that our children have access to nutritious food when school meals are not available. And whereas the City of Clarksville recognizes the importance of supporting programs like FUEL that contribute to the health, well-being, and future success of our children. And whereas during Hunger Action Month, we encourage all citizens of Clarksville to join the fight against hunger by volunteering, donating, and advocating for those in need, and by supporting the efforts of the FUEL program and other organizations dedicated to ending hunger in our community. Now, therefore, I, Joe Pitts, Mayor of the City of Clarksville, and at the request and in conjunction with Councilperson Brian Zacharias, do hereby proclaim September 2024 as Hunger Action Month. Further, I urge all citizens in our Clarksville community to take action in the fight against hunger and to support the FUEL program as we work together to ensure that no child in our community goes hungry. Signed by myself and Mayor Pitts.
Thank you all. So my name is Denise Skidmore, and I'm a sinner who's been forgiven by the blood of my Savior, Jesus Christ. Can you hear me now?
Got you now.
Okay. My name is Denise Skidmore, and I'm a sinner who's been forgiven by the blood of my Savior, Jesus Christ. I wasn't always a Christian, but I walk that life now, and I walk closely. The FUEL program started in October of 2004 here in Clarksville, Tennessee. I began to learn about children whose only food source was the food that they received from school. And I thought, surely we don't have those in Clarksville. Not here. And I began asking people who worked in the school system, from lunch ladies to counselors to teachers, do you have children like this? Do you know anything about this? And every one of them said, yes, every year I have children like this in my classroom. Well, I thought, maybe it's just their school. Maybe it's because it's south of the river or in North Clarksville, or no. It's across our city in every one of the schools. We have children who go for up to 67 hours every week without food, from lunch on Friday until breakfast on Monday. Now, I've gone without food to fast for religious reasons or to fit into a dress. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm not very happy at the end of that. I mean, the dress may fit, but I don't feel very good. So these children come into the classrooms, and they're known for poor citizenship. But as we began to talk to teachers, they realized it was only at the beginning of the week Once they had a breakfast and a lunch and a breakfast and a lunch, they began to respond to that. They began to become better citizens because they had a little bit of nutrition. So I worked with the Montgomery County school system and there's about 70 churches now in the Clarksville area, to work together to form a program that puts food directly into the backpacks of children. A lot of the children are already on state assistance, but the food's not getting down to them. I can't fix their homes, but I can make sure they get fed every weekend. And it happens with everybody in the city together, making sure that we end child hunger in our community. That's our goal. It's a basic need for children. What we've seen is these children who, and I'm just going to give you an example from a few of the children I've talked to. So if I'm hungry and I'm 10 years old, I'll go to a neighbor's house and take food out of their house. I'll go to a gas station and take food. I'll go to Walmart and take food. I'll stuff extra food in my pocket at school. And when it comes time that I need a pair of tennis shoes, what do you think I'm going to do? Yeah. And it becomes a way of life for some of these kids, and we're going to stop that for them. They don't have to do that. We all have enough that we can share. I know that I'm not going to tell you that story. It's embarrassing how many shoes I just gave away. It's just a way of life for us to treat ourselves well, and yet these children are struggling. So I ask you today, along with the City Council, Mayor Pitts, that you take a moment to consider the number of children. We have over 3,000 children in our community receiving food bags every single Friday. We probably have another 1,500 that aren't identified yet. Our numbers grew by 30% last year. A lot of that's due to the growth of the city, which is wonderful. It's a stimulating economy, and house sales are up, and that's great. However, it increases the number of children who are going without food just by nature. Clarksville's not the only city. I've been to Japan. I've been to Italy. I've been to Germany. I've talked to other states about this, and it's happening all around the world. But we can fix Clarksville, and we can help the children here. So if you need anything, any information, we're online at fuelforkidstn.org, or you can get a hold of the City Council and they can direct you to me. If I could just take one more moment, please. There's someone really special in the room. My husband, Jay, he just celebrated his 30th anniversary on the Clarksville Police Department.
Thank you very much. Councilperson Little, you're recognized for a special recognition in the well. They're not here?
No, it was for
Next month? Oh, I got you. Okay. Never mind. I withdraw that. All right. We are now ready for the next item on our agenda, the Planning Commission report. But before we get to that, let me read some housekeeping notes for members and to the audience. Members, the restrooms are to our left or over here. All votes will be roll call votes unless specified otherwise. While we will attempt to control the microphones on or off, please assume your microphone will be on and everything you say could be picked up on our live stream feed. Please raise your hand and keep them raised if you wish to speak. I'll keep my head on a swivel so I can make a list for those who wish to speak on each item. And if you're not using a city-issued iPad, you may experience a glitch with your agenda and the attachments. And then finally, please silence all cell phones. All right, now we're ready for the Planning Commission report. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor.
You should be hot.
I am. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinances and resolutions before us?
Ordinance 2024-25, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jonathan Blick for zone change on 2 parcels, one located on the north frontage of Ava Drive, 185 plus or minus feet east of the Ava Drive and Britton Springs Road intersection, and another parcel located at the southeast corner of the Britton Springs Road and Ava Drive intersection from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R3 Three Family Residential District. Ordinance 7, 2024-25, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville. Application of Jonathan Blick for zone change on a lot fronting on the north frontage of Dodd Street, 190 plus or minus feet east of the Dodd Street and Glen Street intersection from R3 Three Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 8, 2024-25, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville. Application of Michael Booth for zone change on a parcel fronting on the west frontage of Dotsonville Road, 275 plus or minus feet south of the Arrowfield Road and Dotsonville Road intersection from R2 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 13, 2024-25, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville. Application of Timothy Baggett for zone change on the northeast corner of the Crossland Avenue and Kelly Lane intersection and the southeast corner of the Golf Club Lane and Kelly Lane intersection from R2 Single Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 14, 2024-25, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville. Application of Brianna Davis for zone change on a parcel fronting on the west frontage of Peters Mill Road, 75 plus or minus feet south of the Peters Mill Road and Carter Road intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to R6 Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 15, 2024-25, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville. Application of William Tierney for zone change on a parcel of land fronting on the east frontage of Pembroke Road, 950 plus or minus feet north of the Tiny Town Road and Pembroke Road intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 16, 2024-25, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville. Application of Reed Orlando Rudolph for zone change on a parcel of land fronting on the eastern frontage of North Whitfield Road, 250 plus or minus feet north of the Whitfield Road and Needmore Road intersection from AG Agricultural District to R5 Residential District. Resolution 15, 2024-25, a resolution approving right-of-way abandonment of an alley near Bogard Lane. Resolution 16, 2024-25, a resolution approving a right-of-way abandonment near Trough Spring Road. And Resolution 17, 2024-25, a resolution approving a right-of-way alley abandonment near 7th Street.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, I move that we go into public hearing, please.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to public hearing without objection. We are now in public hearing. First item on our public hearing list is item A, ordinance 6, 2024-25, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of Jonathan Blick. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 6? Mr. Blick, give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
Jonathan Blick, 2015. You can hear me okay?
Gotcha.
2015 Mossy Oak Circle. By now, you guys already had time to review my email that I sent last week before. Just to follow up on that, we have applied for the zone change in the past on this, and we've come to our year, and we've decided to go to single family only on this request. Our intent is to build homes in the $235,000 to the $275,000 price range. We feel that is what's affordable now. It usually takes about 2 incomes to cover that, or it can be a dual income person. With these rates dropping, we're hoping that monthly payment's going to be somewhere around the $1,000 price range, $1,000 a month mortgage. So, you know, we've built some in the area, and we feel like that $250,000 price range is a good price range for us. Currently, it's 3 parcels. With the zoning change, or the change to RM1 that you guys have signed off on in the last 6 months in that area, we could build some stick-built houses on those properties. It would be only 3 houses that we could build, and with the cost to offset the cost of that land, we would have to build a larger home that would probably be in the $400,000 price range. We feel like that's not the highest and best use of the land. We feel like if we were to build a $400,000 house in that price range, people would buy it. It would take longer to sell, but the surrounding areas being in the $250,000 price range as well for the existing homes, it would just be better to build homes in that same price range. So, if anybody has any questions, I can help you out now.
Okay, anybody wish to ask Mr. Blick a question or have a comment? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 6? Madam Clerk, are we going to get the timer on the, okay, awesome. If you'll give us your name, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name's Adam Blick. I live at 2000 Boyer Boulevard, Clarksville, Tennessee. As my brother stated, we've owned this property for a little while. We would like to build something that suits the area. Resale value on homes in that area are $250,000 to $300,000. So we're just trying to fit the price range of what's there. We've built several in the area. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths for less than $250,000. We see a big need in this area. We are installing sidewalks. I'll take any questions if you guys have.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Blick? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 6?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Take me a second to set up my Picasso.
Well, if you'll be quick about it, please, sir.
All right. I'm gonna face this towards the council.
And if you will, speak into the microphone so people can hear what you're saying.
Short people. I'm sorry.
If you'll give us your name, you have 5 minutes.
My name is Earl Mintier. I live at 708 Eva Drive. I just put a new home at 711 Eva Drive. And it is a modular mobile home, and I paid $151,000 for it. So these 200, it don't seem a fair value. Okay? Now, if you look at my map here, what's that? Oh, my fault.
Yeah, I need you to be at the microphone if you would, Mr.
Can
Mintier.
you pass the pictures?
Have you got photographs, Lieutenant Gill? If you don't mind, distribute those to the council
And the maps there, if you look at it.
and the maps, please, sir. Mr. Mintier, the clock's ticking.
Now, on the one map here, it's 713. It's 1/3 of an acre of land, and they're wanting to put 2 houses. There's a natural gas pipeline there. You have to keep 40 feet from the road, is where I had to put my house. Why are they different? The one across the street, 714, has a utility service going right through the middle of it because it could be 2 lots. So how many houses are they gonna build on that? Plus, with that, if you look at this curve here, the whole way around from Britton Springs to 41A, there's a pothole here in this turn coming towards Eva. There's one so bad, when you hit it, it'll throw you off into the woods. The one below Bats Lane if you look at it, there's a fire hydrant there that they had to run the water line to it, and with all the new construction up in this area over here, it's collapsing. What's gonna happen when a house catches on fire because of that and they bust that water line? We need to update our roads for sure. It's one of my agendas. The electric, TVA, every summer, every winter. We have to try to change our air conditioning, heating, because the power grid does not carry it. Then the sewer system. How much money has our city paid for to update these old sewer systems? Well, you build more houses in here. You got a pipe this big around that can handle, say, 1,000 gallons a minute. Well, you put that many houses and it pushes 2,000 gallons a minute of stuff down it, it's gonna blow it. And if it runs into the creek down there, East Fork, then that's environmental. And if you look at some of them pictures there, you'll see a little 7-year-old girl. She has to go right here at the corner of Britton Springs, Eva Drive, to catch the bus every morning. Her brother and sister, which is about 14 years old, has to go this way. There is no sidewalks, so you can see through there. No sidewalks. Then lot sizes, like I was saying, 713, it's 1/3 of an acre. You can see it on my map, on them pieces of paper. Then entryways, you can't really put a driveway on Britton Springs. Okay, that's looking for an accident. So you put it on Eva Drive. People fly on that road, just like Britton Springs. You come out of your driveway, you're gonna get hit. I've almost been hit 3 times. And last but least, I wanna go back to the bus stop thing. Come Monday, I was at 7-Eleven working in my yard. The school bus, I call her Munchkin, 7 years old. The bus stopped, and all I heard was tires squealing from a car sliding 50 to 75 feet down Britton Springs towards Eva Drive, because the bus is there with the red lights on. So what can we do to fix it? I feel we need to fix our infrastructure to support all these new houses. I understand progress, we have to. But if we don't fix what we got now, it's gonna screw us in the long run. It's gonna cost us more money. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mentier. Any member of council have a question for Mr. Mentier?
Please ask.
I don't see any. Thank you, sir. If you don't mind moving your chart so that we can.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council.
Any other member of the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 6? Yes, sir. If you give us your name, you have 5 minutes.
My name is Tony Winders, and I'm against Ordinance 6. I'm not against Mr. Blick building on these properties per se. I'm against the zoning that he's asking for and the closeness of these houses he wants to build them. He wants to build, I own lot 139 on 778 Britton Springs Road, next to 2 of the lots he has. He wants to build 3 units on each of those lots, 20 feet wide, 10 feet apart, 5 feet from the property line. How can you justify turning a couple of small lots in an area that's zoned for trailers and single-family homes into an R3, allowing someone to build homes 5 feet from a property line, yet you're going to tell all the neighbors that they can't as much as put a shed up on their property unless it's at least 10 feet from the property line. These homes with 30-foot wide properties that he's going to build a 20-foot wide house on is not even going to have enough land left for the homeowners who purchase these homes to have a swing set or play areas for their children. Where are those children going to play? Are they going to be on my vacant lot? I don't think so. I intend to use my vacant lot. I don't intend for it to become the neighborhood playground. Now, on another note, Mr. Blick has had his property surveyed. His survey stakes, kind of confusing and misleading, and I tend to disagree with how they lay on my side of the property line. So we do have a more or less a disagreement as to where the property line is. And I do want to have another survey on the property line itself, because I intend to make sure that no one encroaches on my property, which I don't think Mr. Blick wants to. I don't think that's his intent. It's just the way the survey was laid out as a result of years of change on the corner of Eva and on Britton Springs itself, since that the original deeds and property was drawn out in 1965. From then till now, there has been some changes and widenings in the streets. I do realize that, and I'm sure he does too. But that being said, this whole neighborhood was all trailers and mobile homes. And as Mr. Mentor said, he's concerned about these houses being close together and fires. All right, if one of these tall, skinny houses that he wants to build here catches on fire, fire jumps from rooftop to rooftop, not necessarily from wall to wall. Yes, he says he's going to put enough fire protection between them on the walls so the fire department can get there in time. But how much of a spark does it take to set off one of the neighbor's trailers? And how long do they have to get out of their trailer in the middle of the night when it catches on fire? 3 to 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. If you've ever lived in an old mobile home, you know they go up quick. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of council for Mr. Winters? Seeing none, okay, our rules allow for rebuttal. If you're in favor of Ordinance 6, we allow one person to speak to rebut anything you've heard, and you'll have 3 minutes. Mr. Blick, give us your name again, and you have 3 minutes.
Jonathan Blick. You know, we heard a lot from the neighbors in the area, and you know, we do hear their concerns. You know, just something to talk about the roads and the sidewalks and the upgrades to those systems. I mean, that's something that we're going to be required to do with the subdivision. Currently, there's 3 lots that can be developed. If we were to develop those lots without, currently as they are, we would not have any kind of infrastructure upgrades done to those properties. Currently, there's somewhat of a blind spot due to overgrowth on the Eva corner. That property has been vacant for 3 years now. I mean, that's just from what I've known. I believe it may be longer than that. I'm not sure. But it's been pretty much abandoned for that time period. You know, fire safety, we're doing as much as we can to build those as far apart as we can, and definitely having those fire protection set in place. With the street department is requesting that we have all driveways on Eva Drive. So that would be off Britton Springs Road, which I hear there seem to be a big concern there as well. There is a turn on Britton Springs, but all of our entrances and our sidewalk would be on Eva Drive. And as far as bus stops go, I would think that they would probably be waiting on the sidewalk rather than in the street like they currently are. I'm not sure what picture was shared or anything like that. You know, we're just trying to improve the area and build an affordable home, and because that's what we do. We know it's a lot easier. Affordable homes are always being purchased, so we try to build an affordable home and a quality home. So if you guys have any questions or anything that I can help you guys, we'd really appreciate your vote at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Blick. Any member of council have a question? Let me get your names here. Councilperson Little, you're recognized. If you don't mind, pull that mic as close to you as you can.
We good? This good? Okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Mr. Blick, for providing us the email and the details of it. Was there a reason why you chose again R3? Because whenever zoning comes before us, it's zoned whatever can be built there can be built there. It could be duplexes or anything like that. You can't say single family wants to go there, but then if you decide to build duplexes or townhouses or anything else, that can affect how many people are living in that area and how much traffic goes through there. Was there any reason for R3 instead of something else? If you
Well-
were intending to build single family?
You know, we do it for profit. These single homes are a lot easier to sell to an individual, and we're not relying on a larger investor to purchase at. I mean, investors always want a good deal, so. You know, we're trying to make sure that we cover our cost and we are able to keep doing what we're doing, which is building on these infill lots that have been maybe neglected over the years. And, you know, we're able to get a good, affordable product out there to those people that need it. That 225 price range, the last ones we sold are, I know that we sold some on Vine Street, and they lasted like 4 days on the market, and that was because he said that he wanted to buy another one for his family member as well. So
Okay.
that's what he was, you know, working on the price there. So
Okay, and like I said, you know, I'm glad that you want to do the single family and make things affordable. It's just the R3 is what worries me. Is because R3, if you decide to build, we've seen it plenty of times up here to where somebody say they're going to do this and then they go and do something else because it's zoned to allow for that. And once we vote to allow it, if you decide to change the plans, be like, I want to do this instead, you can.
yeah.
And so that's what the concern is.
Well, I would tell you that, you know, building multifamily is a lot cheaper probably because there's shared walls involved. But the profitability is a little bit higher on the single family, and there's a strong demand for that affordable single family. So why not pump
Okay.
out the product that everybody needs and wants? And what you'll know is that an affordable house can always be bought. So, you know, if I wanted to build $1 million houses, I only have a small pool to shop in. And so we know that if we're going to build a $225,000 house, that's going to be the cheapest new construction on the market. If I could get it under $200,000 to 140 or 150, it would be a smaller home, but it would be one level. And that's just what the zoning is allowed because, you know, as we discussed the R3 zoning change up here, you know, guys, I spoke against it, but there was a good thing, and it was the 30-foot lot for single family. And that's the whole reason that we're asking for this is because it's a smaller footprint. It's a little bit above the R6 lot, which is a little higher, more density, but the R3 lot, there's still some profitability there. And, you know, we can get a 20-foot wide house or a 15-foot wide house, whatever. So,
Okay.
and still have a garage if we would like.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized. Okay. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Blick, just as a little bit of a follow-up to the previous speaker, there's, of course, 2 lots there that we're discussing. How many duplexes could you do on each of those lots?
I couldn't really say off the top of my head because that's not what we were looking for. But, you know, if you had 50 foot and 10,000 square feet, I think is the minimum. You know, we have built a lot of our duplexes in the past, but I couldn't tell you because we would have to use Eva Drive, the city street department. So that kind of limits us. So they would have to be 50 foot wide. So I would say, 3 maybe, you know.
And that would be on the larger one? we got
That would
2.
be all together. I would say if you did all of them, because they have to be a 50-foot minimum, I think, or maybe it's actually 65-foot minimum, because the 50-foot is what the normal R3 lot was, and they didn't want to have that capability everywhere. So
if
So I
at
would say
R3
maybe one on that big lot, because you would have to use the Eva Drive entrance, really.
Okay, so three duplexes essentially 6 units.
Yeah.
And and if you've already said this, I apologize, and I did try to look, I only saw the historical. How many units, and again, if you've said this, I'm sorry, how many units are you planning on as single family?
I think that what the planning commission said historically we could get with the road frontage is 7 altogether. So that would be 3 on one side and 4 on the other, or 2 on one side and 4 on the other. So,
Okay,
yep,
thank you, sir.
no problem.
Thank you. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you. Am I on? Sorry.
Try it again.
There
You're
we
Okay.
on. You're hot.
Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Free
Thank you.
word.
So, Mr. Blick, on the larger lot, since there's no access to Britton Springs Road, how many driveways will you have access the multiple homes off of that larger lot to Eva?
Well, if we would, I mean, we would love to have 4 access points for 4 houses, but some of those are in a turn, and there's a variance that you may have to have a shared driveway. So I would say 3 to keep away from that blind spot, but it would be, you know, at the city's discretion how many entrances that we could have. So, and what we could do is maybe do a side street. You know, that's a capability too. You know, we're trying to get the hardest part off our plate, and that's getting to where we can actually look at it really good and then have that discussion with the city, because the city's not going to talk to us until, like, because if they did that, everybody'd be talking about nothing, you know?
Right.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Are any other questions? Thank you. If you're against Ordinance 6 and wish to address the council, we allow one person, 3 minutes. If you'll give us your name, you have 3 minutes, please.
I'm back. Emily Collins, 107 Peggy Drive, right around the corner. I'm sorry. Here we go again. He wants to build, he keeps saying single houses, but then now he's saying he could build up to 7 houses. Well, these are mobile homes. They've been set, I mean, it's a neighborhood that's been there forever. Because I've been there for 50 years, put it that way. Because my mom's house and then my daughter's, she just bought a new mobile home, double wide, and my grandson's going to move into theirs. I mean, we don't need all these apartments and stuff and all the crime that's been happening in these others down the road on Bats Lane and all that. We don't need that. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood, like I explained before. He keeps saying he's going to do single houses, but then if you do the R3, he can do as many as he wants to, you know, that they allow. So he keeps saying single. Why doesn't he ask for the single instead of R3? So, see, he wants R3 because he wants to build those. He tried to sell that one lot to another man. He found out that it was voted against, and he couldn't build what he wanted to, so he didn't sell it. So, you know, seems like it's every year we're going to do this, and I wasn't able to come to the planning zoning. I had surgery, but that's not your problem. But I would have come then and talked to you all again, but I know Miss Yvonne. There's several people there that live on that street, and we just don't need a bunch of houses there, duplexes, whatever. And the entryway that they're talking about coming in, it's just one little drive, and everybody has to go through the zones. I know codes is real strict now about how many feet you can be away from the road and, you know, close to the road. And then with all the infrastructure there, this sewer system and the water is terrible. And then when we have storms, which I did survive the tornado, and because of that, I saw all the water and everything that goes down on Eva Drive. So it's, yeah, it does look like a river whenever it rains. And it's like that behind my daughter's house now. And yes, it has not been taken care of for 3 years. because he hasn't done nothing. He doesn't clean it up. He gets my son-in-law.
Ms. Collins, your time is up. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. The next item on our public hearing list is item B, ordinance 7, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jonathan Blick. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 7? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Jonathan Blick, 2015 Mossy Oak Circle. I stand before you again with the same speech. This is a lot here on Dodge Street. It's been vacant for several years. I mean, I've probably never seen a home on it. I'm not sure when, but I believe the owner before me bought it at a tax sale probably 15 years ago and just used it as a side yard for a while. What we're looking to do is just buy or rezone it to R6, have two 25-foot wide lots, and build in the $225,000 to $235,000 price range. We've had some success with it on Vine Street. Again, we would have to put in a sidewalk because of the subdivision of the property. We would just appreciate your vote in favor, as the RPC and the staff has suggested favorability for this and the previous zoning as well. So I appreciate you. Any questions?
Thank you. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized. If you pull that mic as close to you as you can.
Uh-oh.
Without breaking it. That's
Please
why
pause.
Vince is here. Employee of the Year, Vince Monaco, ladies and gentlemen. No, we need to be recorded. Have to lean in.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Blick.
Thank you.
Those houses that you're talking about building over there are 6 homes. Are they across the street from the ones that's already built over there? Did you build those?
On Dodge Street,
Uh-huh.
we did build one house across the street,
I saw
and then
3.
one further down the street on the left-hand side.
On the
And
left.
I've got, and
It's 3 there. You built all 3 of those.
I think we only built 2 on Dodge Street.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And those were, one was built probably in 2022,
Oh,
and then
okay.
one was built maybe in 2018.
So across the street from there, is that where you're talking about building these, single-family homes?
Yes, ma'am. 2 single-family homes. I currently own one home at 1236 Dodge Street, and it's been a long-term tenant.
Well, they look good. I mean, it's not close to me. It's way on the other side. So,
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, there are no oppositions, right, from anybody?
None from the staff or
The citizens
yeah,
that lives
no
over there.
citizens. I haven't heard any
You-
comments.
So you're gonna build somewhere, you know how narrow that street is, right? It's so narrow, only one car can go up that street.
Yes, ma'am.
2
I'm
cars
familiar with
can't go up and down that street.
Especially if there's people parking on the street, for sure.
Well, they don't park on the street because it's against the law. We got that taken care of.
Okay.
Because they were complaining that they couldn't get through there. And so I know that area very well. And so my concern is the narrow street. How are we gonna deal with that with all of the houses that's already there?
Well,
And you say you're gonna put a sidewalk. Wow. I mean, I'm
it's-
happy for the
yeah,
sidewalk, but
it's required by
yes,
the
it
city.
is.
So with these parcels, we're able to push those houses back towards the rear of the
Mm-hmm.
property because it is such a long lot. And so all that parking would be off-street.
It would.
So I would say that the only way that the street is a factor is when those people are coming and going from home. I know that may be a concern, but we
So
all,
they have to go past the other people's houses that's already built there to get to their home and you're gonna build a parking lot that runs beside them, or this is across the street
It would just be a driveway that leads to the house.
on the same
So
side?
they're gonna be, you know, just off the street, 30 feet. They're right next to the houses, and they're not gonna be,
Will they have a
you know.
garage?
I hope that we can.
You don't know for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, it all comes down to which size lot we can do.
This
so.
is kind of iffy to me. I would like to see some homes
Yeah.
built there, but I would like to see a better plan.
Yeah.
A better plan, because you
I
don't
would-
know where they're gonna park. You don't know how you're gonna set it up. And so you're telling us this, but I don't
Yes, ma'am.
see anything. I'm kind of afraid.
Were you
to-
able to run by our houses on Vine Street? Because that would be the similar floor plan that we're going for.
Yeah, I've been over there.
And they park, two side by side at the front of the parking.
I looked on
pad.
Dodge Street.
Yeah.
It was my concern at the time. I've been all over there, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question for Councilperson Little? You're recognized.
Sorry, was there any reason why you weren't using the R3 here to build a single family?
R3 requires 30-foot lots, and this is a 50-foot wide lot. So
Okay.
the only way to make it work would be to do that. Thank you.
All right.
Anyone else have a question for Mr. Blick? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 7?
Thanks.
I sense a pattern here. If you'll give us your name, you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, my name's Adam Blick, 2000 Boyer Boulevard, Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm the builder. I built those homes on Dodge Street. I built the houses on Vine Street. These houses would actually sit off the road, off of the main building setback, which would allow people to park in front of their house. It'd be a single driveway. They'd park back to back. The road, as far as I know, I believe it's 26 feet wide. So it should be plenty of room for people to pass back and forth. Like I said, my brother, or to follow my brother's sentiment, or statement, excuse me, these would be similar homes to what we did on Vine Street. There's a sidewalk going across the front of those lots, plenty of parking for the homeowners that live there, and this is R6 zoning because of the 50-foot wide lot. Reason why R3 lots, I think, require a 65-foot road frontage on requesting for a duplex for that. So that's why in the past thing that we were talking about, only one actually duplex would be available to be put on those 3 lots. So any questions for those?
Questions for Mr. Blick? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Over on Dodge Street, and I'm just bringing this forth because, I live over there.
Okay.
Very narrow. I don't see how 2 cars get by there because I had to back out to let the other car come in. So I don't think you have the right street. And if you're talking about putting a sidewalk there, which I'm happy for that, but I'm just saying, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to talk to the street department about the width of the street, but I know when we were building there,
Because it's
didn't
going to
have
be
any
crowded
issues.
because there's nowhere to play. They're already crowded over there with them homes you built over there next to that brick house. It's a brick house right there on the corner.
We built 2 houses on Dodge Street.
Yeah, but it's 3.
Well,
yeah. I know you didn't build the other one.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that we don't overcrowd that street and cause more complaints that we had before you all built there. Okay? That's
Okay.
all I'm concerned about. Okay? Thank you.
Yep.
Any other comment or question for Mr. Blick? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 7? Seeing none, we're ready for items. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. If you would give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, my name is Tyrone Fields. And if I'm not mistaken, the first brother said that he had a long-term tenant that stayed on Dodge Street. So is the brothers them renting these homes that there, or are they selling these homes? That would be my first question to them. And if they're renting these homes, are they using any type of voucher program so that low-income families can get into these homes? of these natures, so that families that may be Section 8 and things of that nature can probably benefit from these types of homes that they're building, since he's claiming that he's building these homes for affordable families. I'd like to try to find out that information. And if he's going to continue to build in Clarksville and state that he want to build affordable homes, let's make sure he's doing it so that we can get families that are really need these homes, so that we can use the Section 8 voucher program from HUD to home, so that we can get some of this taken care of. And maybe we can start with his home building and get him started on some of that program.
Hang on, Mr. Fields, just in case. Is there anyone have a question? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Mr. Fields.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. Do you live over in that area?
I don't live over in that area, but I am a community activist, so some of the stuff that I do happen to know about.
Okay.
So growing up in the projects,
Oh, okay.
and being a Marine Corps veteran, my first proud moment was buying my first home for my family. So when we talk about low income home, my first home was not a $250,000 home, but being a veteran, my first home was $650,000. But my grandfather, first home, he paid $75 a month. So I know what a low income home mean to a family. And in the city of Clarksville, we have a lot of derelict homes, so maybe we can start putting some of this money to fixing those homes and getting families in those homes.
Okay. You see Mr. Blick here, so you might want to get in contact with them while he's here, get his information and see what's up with it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Any other comment or question for Mr. Fields? Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak against Ordinance 7? Thank you, sir. All right. It's time for rebuttal. If you are in support of Ordinance 7, we allow one speaker to offer rebuttal, and you have 3 minutes, excuse me. If you'll give us your name, you have 3 minutes.
Jonathan Blick, 2015 Mossy Oak Circle. So I finally figured it out. Okay, so there are three homes that are built side by side on Dodge Street. Those are not our homes that we built. We built the ones in between Reynolds Street and Glen Street. One in 2020, like I said, and then one in maybe 2018. And there's a nice little bitty house, probably 300 or 400 square feet, yellow house, little chimney right next door to us. But to speak on the affordability, we do have our homes available for Section 8 when we do have them for rent. But, you know, most of these homes we try to have out there for the general public to own, because we believe in single home ownership and everybody should be able to have the opportunity to own their own house. And I think even if, you know, whether you rent or buy, if you got your own place, you're pretty proud. I mean, you know, my dad, he'll tell you a story, but I'll tell it for him. When he got his first place, when he moved out of his parents' house, he had his dad over. His dad took one step in the door and walked around. He said, "Boy, if I told you were going to live here, you'd run away from home." So, you know, but my dad sure was proud. So, but just to go back on that, you know, we believe everybody should have an opportunity to own a house, and that's why we're trying to put affordable homes out there. So we appreciate your time. Any questions?
Any questions or comments from Mr. Blick? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Mr. Blick, I hear you, and it sounds good. How many homes do you have for Section 8? You said you have some.
All my homes that are currently open are, I have 3 on Edlin Street in Guthrie, which are in Montgomery County, so you don't have to pay any Kentucky taxes, just to put myself out there. And then we have one available on Cumberland Drive.
So do any of these homes you're gonna build, are they gonna be Section 8?
If we held them, but my intent is to resell them.
Oh, resell them?
Yes,
You wanna
ma'am.
do a resale for
Yes,
profit?
ma'am.
I got you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
To keep the
money flowing, I understand.
keep it going, you
I
know.
got you. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding Ordinance 7? All right, we allow one person to speak against. If you're against Ordinance 7, wish to offer rebuttal? Okay, we're now ready for item C, Ordinance 8, 2024-25, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Michael Booth Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of Ordinance 8? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Hello, City Council. My name's Ricky Rita. I'm a local here in the city. This property was owned by Charles Booth back in the day. He's gentleman has passed today. Mark Grant and Charles annexed this property into the city to get the land that was sold with this house originally. This house had a farm. It now has 100 houses beside it that are R1, and we've got 1.7 acres left with the mother's house still on it. She still lives there. So today we're asking for R6 zoning, and I'm asking it for several reasons, and I want to explain. I don't know the exact date that R6 come out, but I'm going to say it was 2019-ish. We got real hot in the city to zoning R6s. It's supposed to be an infield around downtown is what I understand, and I've heard it from every council member and that is set up here in the past, and I've heard it from the regional that it was supposed to be infield for the downtown city. So as COVID hit, we all started zoning properties outside of the downtown infield, and we went to north side of town. And they were approved one after another, R6s. One after another. We take it over here to Madison Street side, and we're turned down 0 to 100. We don't get any approved on this side of the city that I'm pointing at, and everyone knows what side that is. This is north side of the city. We're trying to rebuild it. We're trying to get affordable homes. We're trying to make things happen. So around 2022, we investors all got together with the regional's new R2A. And R6 kind of stopped, except for the infill to downtown. It kind of stopped. It didn't go north side. It didn't go to that side of the city. It stopped because we zoned several on north side R2A. Me and many other investors that sit on the regional planning committee or had sit on the regional planning committee, we took them R2A. Today's world's 2024. Here we go again. We have pulled the R6 outside of the infill of the downtown city, and we're putting it wherever we chose to put it and where we want to zone it. I guess it's a new book that we just carry on ourselves and make new rules. There is a property that's similar to my property, but it's 8 acres on Lafayette Road. It's got 900 foot of road frontage. It is R6. Nowhere does it talk about how many driveways will come out on Lafayette Road. I count 32 driveways coming out on Lafayette Road. It's passed and done in there. It's ready. 8 acres. The address would be 466 Lafayette Road. So then I look at this zoning ordinance now. I'm disapproval, and I'm disapproval for this ordinance 2024-25, but I look right below it, 2 below it, and I'm off of Peters Mill Road. I got an R6 approval here, right in front of me, from the regional, from the staff, from everybody, coaching everybody here along to give R6 off of Peters Mill Road. Today's world, we had a tornado, Britton Springs, Eva, Peggy. Name the streets over there in that corner of the district of north side of town. Where I'm at today on my R6 is no more density, is no more difference in the residency. The two are comparable. And for this to be a disapproved and disapproved, I see it just poking on who you want to poke on and who gets R6 and R6 and who don't get it. Everyone that's been up since the tornado, that is not an infill area. We're doing it because we're doing it. We want to turn trailers in, I guess, the R6 area. Well, we have trailers on Dotsonville Road too. So today, I'm asking to be fair to this lady that she gets the same value to her home as every resident out there on the north side of town that's getting approved now. That's why I'm here today. I will remind everybody, this was county. It got annexed in. It sits next to R1. This lady could benefit from these 25-foot lots. There would be no more than 8 driveways, including her driveway. And today I'm asking for this zoning. If there's any questions, I'd love to take them.
Any questions for Mr. Rita? We've got 2. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Am I on?
You're
Okay.
on.
Mr. Rita, I responded to the email that you sent us on the 3rd, and I didn't get a response back, so I'll just ask you what I was asking you in the email. I said, since there are no other R6 in this area, have you thought of developing to R2 or R2A and accessing the adjacent ag property for additional accesses to Dotsonville Road?
I didn't see anybody's response. That's something I wanted to refer back to. I've in the past reached out to council people, and I don't get a response back. I apologize, I didn't see it, but I have put emails to you guys. I didn't see it, but I have put them out, and I've got no communication back from other council people. I will go back to your question. The property to the south that's ag is in the county. It's not in the city, so there's no way we could intervene the two together. It is acceptable to go R2A. It's acceptable to go R3. I think it might be the perfect zone at 30-foot road frontage. But I think it lands the plane to what's fair. We have a house right here that says approved off Peters Mill Road. What's the difference? The density's the same.
So I'm not on the planning commission. I didn't vote for those. I can tell you that I haven't approved or voted in favor of R6 outside of downtown since I've been back on the council. And prior to that, during my lapse is when that happened. So I was just looking at the potential R2, R2A. You could still get several homes on that. And I'm not suggesting that you all build on the ag property, but you might be able to get an access for another way out, because from what I understand during the presentation last week, they're only going to allow one access to Dotsonville Road off of that parcel. Was that what you were told?
That is not what I was told, and that's totally incorrect.
Okay.
I think that's coming from the regional bouncing back to your city council.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Every city council meeting, almost since the tornado, has had R6 zoning a mile and a half as the bird flies from this property, 2 miles at the worst. What makes it fair for any properties that sit in the northwest corner of Montgomery County, Eva, Britton Springs, Peggy, Morningstar? What makes them any different than this lady's property, where she gets the same property value as they're getting with these same zonings? That's where I'm at. What's fair? What's not fair? What's right? What's not right?
I can only speak for myself.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I can go ahead and tell you, Mr. Reed, if it makes you feel better, the one that will be 2 after yours, I was against that one as well at the Regional Planning Commission. But one difference, when you're asking what's the difference between this one and that one, again, I voted against both of them, but speaking to one thing is that one of the requirements of the R6 is to have the transit available to you. It should have access to existing infrastructure like mass transit and retail services. Of course, being right out there on the outer boundaries, you're not going to have those transit services available. I know in the outer boundaries, even of my ward, we don't have transit available all the way out there. So just in an answer to your question, the difference between this one and the one that's going to be coming up on Peters Mill Road, that would be a substantial difference there with that. But like I said, I can only speak for myself, and I've voted no on both of them at both levels. I mean, at the
Well,
Regional
I have a
Planning
question,
Commission.
and I spoke of it in my comment. There is a book of languages, R6. Why is infield thrown out of it all of a sudden, and it's a transit issue? Infield is supposed to be in the city of Clarksville. It's not supposed to even be out in that area no more, because we fixed it. We fixed it in 2022. We all got together. We quit asking for it. We started asking for an R2A, and you guys are the ones that let it start going in 2023 till now, or we wouldn't have no R6 over there right now. You guys started it, and you just can't grab any part of the book you want. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the night, what's fair to every person out in that area, to you picking a part out of the book and going, there's no buses.
Councilperson Streetman, you've got the floor.
There's no infill either, Ms. Streetman.
I answered what I was going
Yes.
to.
Okay.
Transit has been there for some time. I'm not aware of it being taken out of there.
Is infield, am I
Thank
correct
you,
when I
sir.
speak of
I
infield?
appreciate
I would
it.
like to ask you a question. Could I?
Councilperson Zacharias, you recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to reserve my comments for when it's time to vote.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have a question for Mr. Rita? Councilperson Smith, you recognized.
Mr. Reed, I just want to say that the zone change, Mr. Tindall changed the zone. We did an assessment of that area over in,
Get close
oh,
to
I'm
you.
sorry, man. These mics are tied together. We did, he did an assessment, not him, but we paid for an assessment over in Ward 6. And so they were putting so many R6s over there. The infield was having high density over there. There was, and you know, I complained about it so much, that there was no place for children to play. Couldn't put a pool. You couldn't do a lot of things on the R6. And I didn't feel that that was a good zone for a community with so many children. And so they did an assessment, and he changed the zone to R3. So R3 is the new zone for in the Ward 6 area, mostly. You know, there still are some R6s on the outskirts, like we just looked at Dodge Street, stuff like that. And I think they're trying to bring it back in. But R3 is what has happened to the downtown area and over in this area as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else have a comment or question for Mr. Rita? Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 8? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 8? Next item on our agenda is item D, Ordinance 13, 2024-25, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Timothy Baggett. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 13? Ms. Baggett, if you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Cindy Baggett, and my husband and I own the property at 1494 Golf Club Lane. We inherited this property about 27 years ago when my father-in-law passed away, and for sentimental reasons, we've hung on to it and used it. At this time and season in our life, we are looking at possibly selling it in the future. To protect ourselves and our interest, we have sought counsel from Mark Holloman. I've used Cal Burchett with Burchett Engineering, and we've already been with the street department looking at the mapping and making sure that we're asking for the R4 zone that is adequate for that area. This property is surrounded by 3 pieces of streets. It's Crossland, Kelly Lane, and Golf Club Lane. There's plenty of entrances for the approved, I think they zoned, or the R4 capacity is 55 units, and plenty of space to come out on 3 different roads, however the developer chooses to do so. But our request right now is just for the rezoning that will prepare the future buyer to know what is allowed for that property.
Thank you. Any comment or question for Ms. Baggett? Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 13? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 13? Next item on our public hearing agenda is item E, Ordinance 14, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Brianna Davis. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 14? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 14? Next item is item F, Ordinance 15, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of William Tierney. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 15? If you would give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Council. Chris Blackwell, 2091 Bend Road. I'm proposing a 3-acre tiny home development. It's the first we've done and the first in Clarksville that I know of. We've designed 4 different floor plans for this, maybe more, not for sure. R4 is the only zoning that will allow for this. This is the perfect size property for us to try something new that we feel is a need in the community. We received staff and planning commission approval, and we hope you will do the same.
Any questions for Mr. Blackwell? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Mr. Blackwell, you're gonna build these out here on Tiny, I'm sorry, man.
microphone.
On Tiny Town Road?
I'm right off of Tiny Town.
Right, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And how many you say you're gonna build?
Around 40.
40, and these are for more like homeless people, the tiny homes, is that what you're talking about?
They're 400 to 700 square feet.
Yeah, they small.
They're really small.
Yeah, very small. Do you realize that if homeless people are out there, that the traffic is so bad out there, they could get ran over because, you know, some just walk and,
Well, I don't know who's to say that they're for the homeless people.
well, that's small. Who can live in it? I mean, it's very small. How
They
many
are.
bedrooms? How
They're-
many bedrooms?
There's 1 to 2
Okay.
bedrooms.
How many bathrooms?
There's 1 bathroom.
Okay. That's a small home.
They're in all other cities around us, in this size cities, and I think this is just the first one that we was going to propose to try.
Okay. I have my thoughts, but
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So, I've been to cities that have tiny home communities, and they're really cute and everything like that. Are you looking at selling these, or are you looking at renting them out?
We're open to both.
Open to both?
Yes,
Are you looking at doing any type of Section 8 or working with HUD on?
We have not
Anything?
got that far on that yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilperson Streetman?
Thank you, Mayor. I may be asking, since you just said you haven't gotten that far yet, so I may be asking you a question you don't know the answer to, and forgive me if so, but what is do you have a price point in mind as far as rent per month or overall price for selling it?
We do not have the price yet with the fluctuating prices of everything, but we think the rent's going to be $600 to $800 a month, $500 to $800, I should say. It just depends. There's no rents like this anywhere.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Is it okay if we go back to ordinance 14 and mention that again? Mr. Lewis Bagnett, the former county commissioner's here. I think he didn't hear it and he wanted to speak on that.
Any objection to go back to ordinance 14? So,
Finish this one.
yeah, we'll finish this one.
Yes, I mean,
of
whenever,
course.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
I thought perhaps we were
Okay.
finished.
All right, thank you. Any other question for Mr. Bagwell? All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 15? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 15? All right, let's finish, and then we'll come back to 14. The next item is item G, ordinance 16, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Reed Orlando Rudolph. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 16? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 16? Next item is item H, resolution 15, resolution approving the right-of-way abandonment of an alley near Bogard Lane. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 15? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 15? Next item is item I, resolution 16, 2024-25, a resolution approving a right-of-way abandonment near Trough Springs Road. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 16? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 16? Next item is item J, resolution 17, 2024-25, a resolution approving a right-of-way alley abandonment near 7th Street. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of resolution 17? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against resolution 17? Now back up to item E, ordinance 14, 2024-25, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Brianna Davis. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 14? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 14? Commissioner Baggett? Well, that's on a parcel fronting on the west frontage of Peachers Mill Road, south of Peachers Mill Road and Carter Road.
That's it.
I think that'd be you. Give us your name and you have 5 minutes, sir.
I'm Lewis Baggett, native of Clarksville. Been in my house for 40 years. Peachers Mill was at one time a county road, and it had a 30-foot right-of-way. City of Clarksville annexed it, and it magically turned into 50-foot right-of-way, and it promptly took 10 to 12 feet of my property. But across the street from me, there's this old abandoned house. It's kind of torn down. It's not torn down, but it's kind of getting rough. And they're rezoning it R6 in Peachers Mill. And if you're worried about the bus traffic, we seldom see the bus, but we got a bus stop in my front yard. Okay? Now, here's your problem. If anybody's been on Peachers Mill Road, has got to know that thing's like an interstate highway. The traffic on that road is outrageous. Even for me to get out on it, going north or south, becomes almost impossible at times. So, now let's talk about zoning. I didn't even know what zoning R6 was. I had to ask Wallace to find out what it was. And if it's supposed to be downtown, it ought to get the hell downtown, because Peachers Mill ain't downtown. This whole area was a residential, our fun area. We are all residential homes. Next thing I know, I go away, I come back, they build a big subdivision down in the valley behind me, built a subdivision on the street down here, and now they built one diagonally across here, and then they built, and I was gone for those. Then they built another one over here, which I was here for but didn't get notified about because it wasn't across from me. So here's the problem. How much is my value of my house going down? You guys are turning it into a damn slum.
Mr. Baggett, please watch your language.
Well, I'll put it this way. You're turning me into a slum. My value of my property's got to be going. They just assessed me for almost $300,000 for my house. My neighbor's house, his assessment is about $300,000 too. It's sitting there for months for sale. Can't sell it. Ain't nobody gonna buy it for that. And it's gonna get worse, because when you put those two houses over there, or whatever it is you're putting across the street from me, this R6 stuff, are you gonna give it 5 foot from the road? If you do, I'm gonna build a wall 5 foot from the other side of the road. Because and the equity has to be fine. I'm fair with equity. Otherwise, I'm good with everything. I'm sure there's nothing you're gonna do about changing what you've already done. That you're gonna approve this crap, and it's gonna put them two houses over there. I'm just gonna tell you, I've already had enough wrecks out in front of my house. I don't need no more. I've had them in my front yard. And this is Peachers Mill. And we got all these 5,000 houses behind us built, and we got all the traffic coming up Carter Road from back there to the intersection where I live on the corner of Carter Road. And all those cars are coming up through there. So even getting out on Carter Road is becoming problematic. And getting on Peachers Mill is getting extremely difficult. So when you going to change the density of this entire property, it's already changed far enough with all those apartments. They're all over the bloody place. It's changed already enough. We don't need no more. I'm just telling you, we really don't need no more. So I'll just tell you that I was born and raised here, native here. I'm not holding public office anymore, but I might decide to run for your office.
2026,
Run
November.
for your office if this stuff goes through. I'll wait till you lose some more hair back here. Nice to see you again, by the way.
Always good to see you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Baggett? Hang on, Mr. Baggett. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Baggett, I just want to make sure I'm understanding you. Are you for the rezone to R6 for the single-family residential?
I guess.
On that area? Because you sound like you wasn't.
I'm not.
You're not for it. So
I'm against it.
Oh, so you don't want it to be
I
R6.
figure you already done it.
I
though.
got
It's
you. No,
pretty
we
well.
haven't voted on it yet. No. That's why he asked you, did you want to speak against it? So you're up to speak against this. Is that correct?
That's exactly
okay.
right.
All right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
I wouldn't come up here and speak for it.
Okay.
All right.
I just want to make sure I'm
more
understanding you. Okay.
Anyone
Thank
else?
you.
Anyone else have a question for Mr. Baggett? Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Louis, there's apartments on each side. You know, this will go in between those two.
That's exactly right.
And, but you're against it even though it's there's apartments that are in there.
Well, those apartments were in there, two of them, one behind me and the one in front of me on the left side, were
Right.
done when I wasn't around. It didn't have no say. I was out of the country.
Yeah.
I came back, they notified my neighbor about the apartments from across from him, and he come down here and talked about it. It didn't do him any good, but they put those apartments in too. So this whole thing about apartments doesn't.
You said there's an abandoned house like this
It's a rough house.
Where
It's-
is it
it's
at?
an old frame house right there on that lot.
on that lot.
On
You
that
don't
lot.
think that might improve then the area to have these brand new houses instead of that old house that's dilapidated to go inside there rather than a.
I don't know how much it's going to improve it after we've got apartments all the way around us. When we started out in a single family residence, the entire area was all private houses.
Uh-huh.
And now we got apartments everywhere. And going to throw a couple more. So that's all I got to say about it.
I'm done.
Anyone else, council, anyone else have a comment or question for Mr. Baggett? Thank you, sir. Councilperson Streetman?
Thank you, Mayor. I was going to ask if we could, when we're finished with this one, if we could show the same consideration for number 16. I think one of the speakers missed that on ordinance 16, 2024-25.
Without objection, we'll do that. Okay. All right. Was that, okay. All right. All right. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against this ordinance? All right. We will now take back up item G, ordinance 16, 2024-25, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Reed Orlando Rudolph. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? And he's right there.
No, this one's not, it's supposed to be going on Whitfield Road.
Did I say that
This
wrong?
is, it says eastern frontage of North Whitfield Road, 250 plus or minus feet north of Whitfield Road,
Oh, I was
Needmore
looking
Road.
at the wrong thing on there. Okay.
Is this you?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
give us your name. You have 5 minutes.
All right, Richard Garrett, 1488 Collinsview Way. And I'm just here to answer any questions that y'all may have about the project. I had sent an email out to each and every one of y'all, kind of giving you an idea of what our intentions were for it, to build 9 affordable housing townhouses. I gave you some examples from 4 other complexes that we've developed with a list of some of our Section 8 clients that we work with through THDA that was redacted to protect their identities. But just want to see if y'all had any questions or concerns for me about the project.
Questions for Mr. Garrett? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Were there any oppositions for you to build this under this new zone, R5?
During the planning commission meeting, I met with one of the adjoining property owners. Initially, she was against it. We talked, kind of worked out some of the things and her concerns, and she hasn't reached back out with any additional concerns in opposition, and I don't see her here tonight.
So what was the major concern?
It had more so to do with the person who requiring it from was the uncle, she's the niece, and just a dispute as far as where the property boundary was, and we got it taken care of with a survey.
Okay, thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mine's actually kind of in regard to that. Would you mind working with both the owner and the property owner beside to ensure that the pins are put in the right place so that once any construction begins, there's not an issue with that? If you just wouldn't mind, I know since the survey was wrong in the first place, I think that caused the pins to be put in the wrong place.
It did. So
Thank
we'll ensure we get it correct.
Thank you, sir.
Councilperson Markey, you're recognized.
My question is, will these townhomes be included with assistance, like Section 8 and other assistance? Pretty much, is that what you're telling us in the email?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll add it to the Section 8 program, market it on their website, and then we work with several of the other rental assistance programs like the Firehouse, Day Shelter, Urban Ministries, Catholic Charities, and Franklin Housing, just to name a few.
Okay, and then remind us again how many units?
9.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question for Mr. Garrett? Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 16? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 16? All right. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I move we go back into regular session.
Motion been made to revert to regular session without objection. We are now in regular session. Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. As a reminder, all motion, due to recommendation from our city attorney, all motions are made in the form of approval. Ordinance 6, 2024, 25, first reading. The Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 6. Councilperson Little, you're recognized for a question.
Just on this, it was brought for, like the speaker has said, a year ago, same zoning, and for it to be R3 again, and his intention, or their intention, is to build single family, although we know intentions can sometimes turn into something else, especially when it comes to development needs and maybe unforeseen expenses and circumstances. So in order for safety and also the concerns of the citizens there, I feel we should not approve an R3. Not opposed to single family homes and having affordability, but just want to make sure we're doing it responsibly to make sure that we're not adding an influx of, or allowing for opportunity for an influx of things to come in and just dupe us as a council and as a community.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to clarify just a little bit that, yes, they did previously come before us with a rezoning request, but they came forward with an R4 request, not an R3.
Okay.
So in my thought, they took what our vote meant to them, that R4 wasn't going to happen, and came back with an alternative plan.
My apologies. I'll redact that then.
In regard to some of the earlier questions and comments that were made, into doing R6 versus R3, which, because I know some concerns from the community was, well, we don't want to take a risk of it being multifamily. We would only want it to be homes. If it was R6, you would be looking at 8 to 10 homes. As we heard, if they built duplexes, it would be likely be a total of 3, so you'd be looking at 6 units. And based on the historical zoning, you're actually looking at 7 units, with it being R3 versus being R6. So for me, and if they were to build, as it stands today, as it's currently zoned, you would be looking at 3 homes being built, which are, as he stated, would probably be larger homes, and you're looking at the $400,000 range. We're often hearing about the need for more affordable housing, and I think this creates more of an opportunity for that and would fit the neighborhood better than leaving it as that and building $400,000 homes. So for me, I will actually be voting in favor of this to make it to be R3 versus what it's currently zoned as.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I don't think my mic is working at all.
It is working.
Oh, is it? Okay. I would just like to say that Mr. Tyndall, at our last meeting, indicated that they were going to do a survey, and similar to what we did for Red River. And I would like to ask that we hold off rezoning this area until that plan is completed and submitted. We don't know what that's going to look like, and so I don't oppose the infill, but I want to see the plan, so I'll be voting no.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you. And I think it can, I guess the area is wide enough to, just like I said, concern-wise, it's just for, it does allow for not only duplex, but it can put a triplex also in, would fit in, I believe the acreage is like 0.8, and that would allow for, I think, square footage-wise, would be around close to 35,000 square footage-wise. It's all being rezoned. And I think triplex's minimum is 12,000, and so that's a possibility. I'm just saying that.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. After hearing the 3 people that spoke against this property being rezoned, I would be standing in favor with the citizens. They live over there. They know how it is over there. And he did a great presentation showing the pictures of the children in the street, standing in the street. And I know that he said he would build a sidewalk, but that's not gonna help the situation, a sidewalk on one street. We need sidewalks in that whole area, and the street needs to be widened. I know about Britton Springs Road. It's a terrible road. I almost got hit on that road. And so I would be voting against this until we get the streets widened. I think we're just setting ourselves up for failure to go ahead and let him just put that there. No, we need to take care of the infrastructure before we go ahead and build all these homes. Piecing it together is not going to help the situation. It might make it worse for the children. Thank you, Mayor.
Any more comment or question regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Zacharias?
No.
Ms. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. Little?
No.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shakinab?
No.
Ms. Lovato? No. And Mayor Pitts?
No.
It's 4 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance fails. We're now ready for next item, item 7. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 07, 2024, 25, first reading. The Regional Planning Commission recommended, and staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 7. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 7? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shakinab?
No.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 7 passes. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 08, 2024, 25, first reading. The Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended disapproval. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 8. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 8? Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're on.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. I feel the need to address an implication that this body is basing its votes on the identity of the applicant. A lot has changed in 2 years. Specifically, as of March, we have a comprehensive plan that we didn't have 8 months ago. Okay? The answer to the question, why does one R6 get approved in one area and not in another area, is because they are in different planning areas according to the comprehensive plan. This plan updated a 20-year-old document that we all knew was out of date. It was the result of years of effort by experts and with community input about the future planning goals for the different parts of our city, and to suggest that those planning goals are not being taken into consideration in favor of other considerations, I find to be quite honestly out of line. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. As I said during the public hearing portion of it, that there is not any transit available for this. And I know there was I think a question asked by one of the council members in regard to the access. It's actually there in the report, and this came directly from the street department, and put it into the report that there will be one access to Dotsonville Road permitted per access ordinance, and then sidewalks required. So that did come from the street department in regards to that. As you'll hear me say on a couple ones from now, I also am not in favor of the R6 when you have 0 R6 in the area at this time. At least when I'm looking at this map, I don't see any there, and that would be introducing it to the area if you had it, and the fact that there's not even an R6 in the apologize, I can't think of the word, but as you can see for the, where it lists all the colors, everything with that R6 isn't even listed because there are no parcels on there for that. So for me personally, I can't support this request.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Looking at this, I think we ought to support it. We are so quick to put R6 over in the low-income area. And we just did that. We just approved one right here before this one to make sure, and I talked about how narrow this road was. I went ahead and approved this because I knew y'all was going to approve it anyway. So, yeah, over in the low-income area, we're quick to say, okay, we want R6 over there. Let's hurry up and put this over here, you know. No, I think we need to approve this. I mean, that's up to you all, but I'm going to vote in favor of this to put it in another area. Let's let R6 be all around the city, not just in one area. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comment or question regarding Councilperson Little? You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just looking at this and looking at the map, and as it was stated during earlier, this is, newly annexed, well, more recent of the annexations, right next to the county line, and there's agriculture next to it. I feel as though that's R6 coming in there right next to the area. It's just, I feel like it would fit the area as of now because we're growing, we're changing, we're getting a lot more people that's coming in. And this, from what I can tell from Clarksville's growth, it could only be a matter of time before even more Dotsonville Road gets annexed and that agricultural part next to it and could turn into whatever it is. And this R6, which is perfect timing to get in there first and allow for their development and building. And I think it's something that we should approve.
Councilperson Smith, you're
Thank you,
recognized.
Mayor. And I forgot to say something very important. I heard someone say that this R6 is not in this area. Well, when it started over in the Red River area, it wasn't an R6 over there either. Never a R6 because it was a new zone. So if you're voting against it because it's not one started over there, I'm sorry, but I'm going to vote for it because they started it like that in my neighborhood. There was no R6s over there, and I said the same thing that my fellow council lady said, and I said, there's no R6s over here. Why are we putting R6s over here? But y'all started it over there that way, so we got to start over here the same way. Same thing for all neighborhoods. There are no big I's and no little U's. I think we need to vote in favor of this. We can get it started, just like we got it started over there in Red River. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comment or question regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none. Are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
No.
Mr. Shekinab?
No.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
No.
Ms. McLaughlin?
No.
And Mayor Pitts?
No.
That's 7 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 8 passes first reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 13, 2024, 25, first reading. The Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 13. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 13? Hearing none, seeing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 13 passes first reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 14, 2024, 25, the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made
Second.
and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 14. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 14? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
No.
Mr. Shekinab?
No.
Ms. Lovato? No. Mr. Zacharias?
No.
Ms. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
No.
And Mayor Pitts?
No.
That's 4 yes, 6 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance fails.
That's
It failed.
Fails. It has.
4 yes, 8 no, 0 abstain. I'm sorry.
Hey, you're making me doubt myself. All right. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 15, 20, 24, 25. First reading, the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommend approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 15. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 15? Seeing none, hearing, I'm sorry, Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So this one right here is the one with the tiny houses. I think that we have to give this an opportunity because they are affordable homes. It's not just specifically for the homeless. It is for people that are looking for a simpler living. So I would like to see us have our first tiny home community in this city. Thank you.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We already have a lot of tiny homes, and it was built by, the lady that goes to this church. I can't think of it. They got several tiny homes already here. I can't think of the name.
Judy's Hope.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Judy's Hope. Several tiny homes. And I'm thinking this, and I'm just trying to think about this. If we build all these tiny homes on Tiny Town Road, and I usually hear someone say that, the traffic is so bad, and how are the homeless going to afford them? That's what I want to know. How are they going to afford them if they're not working? So will they just be sitting there, or will they be for use? Because I don't think a mother with 5 kids would be able to afford, buy it. They can't even live in it because it's going to only be 1 bedroom. So are we really doing this a service, or are we really just, I don't know, but I'll leave it there. All right, thank you.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. I think there's just a little bit of confusion in regard to the tiny homes. I don't recall the agent ever talking about it being for the homeless. What these are tiny homes, as was stated and was asked in question from a fellow council member, that these are going to have 1, maybe 2 bedrooms. It's going to have 1 bathroom. These are very small homes, and what you can think about, a mother of 5 is likely not going to be looking for one of these homes, but these are a starter home. I think it's a good opportunity for us to have something like this. And yes, we do have Judy's Hope, but this is a different situation. This is for people to be able to go in and either buy or rent these homes. And I think Judy's Hope has been a great example of how nice these homes can be. I think this is an opportunity for us, and I'm very interested in this as well to see how it does turn out, and I will be voting in favor of it. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
No, never mind.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks to the previous speaker for clarifying that. I'm not against tiny homes. I do agree that we do need something smaller for people who can only afford to rent an apartment to have an opportunity for purchase. My concern is that if we rezone this to R4 and the plans change, then we're looking at apartments. If you've driven down Pembroke Road, it's very narrow. The setbacks from the houses that are already there are pretty close to the road. I don't know what the opportunity is for widening. I'm not an engineer and I don't play one on TV, but it just seems like adding more density up there is an issue. Also, there is some industrial use across the street. So if those properties change hands, we're opening the door for more potential higher density residential on that already over congested corridor. So for that reason, I'll be voting no.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. With all due respects to the Madam Mayor Pro Tem and the previous speaker, I think that this could be the future of the homeless problem here in our country. And again, I know another speaker said that it's not just for, the homeless or very poor. After all, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, actually lives in a tiny home, and he is producing these that will go out on tractor trailers and be set up in different areas for people. No contractor anymore builds 2-bedroom houses. It's a thing of the past. I think the only bedroom houses were built that are in existence, they were built in the 50s. And we always talk of affordable homes. These are truly, I believe, going to be affordable homes, and for that reason, I'm going to vote for it.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I would just like to say, I understand infill and density and smaller homes. My concern is as we do this, I don't think that our codes and zoning really promote sustainability. There's no green space left as we do this. And I support this, but I'd like to see a change that ensures that there is green space and trees planted in this area, in these kind of areas for the community, rather than just continuing to tightly pack things in without any cover.
Councilperson Zacharias?
Thank you, Mayor. So yes, I'm the guy that's always talking about traffic on Tiny Town. Today I'm going to talk about traffic on Pembroke, because that road is incredibly narrow. It is a fall off on both sides. Just across the state line, just 2 years ago, we tragically lost a child who was walking along the road to a convenience store when they were struck by a car. Pembroke Road gets more traffic than it should because it is the way soldiers avoid driving through the Tiny Town Fort Campbell Boulevard intersection because they're running late for PT. Ask me how I know. All right. That is the shortcut or the way to get around waiting at that light to turn on to Tiny Town to get home, both in the morning and at night. As I always say with these cases on Tiny Town and Needmore and Peters Mill, I'm not saying no forever, but right now is just not a good time. Thank you.
Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Okay, so I know I said never mind before, but there was a couple things that were said. I think that when we're looking at tiny homes, we're not looking at families of 5. We're looking at, in this area, we have a lot of single veterans, and they're looking for something very affordable. They're looking for, and they can use their VA loan to purchase. You can't use your VA loan to purchase a trailer or any type of manufactured home, but you can use it to purchase a tiny home. And every veteran, when they get out, is not working, tremendously. We have disabled veterans that they have a fixed income. So this would be right in their market. I guess going to other cities and looking at some of these tiny home communities, they have green space. They have it's a simpler type of living. They have campfires. They have all kind of stuff in these little tiny home communities. And I think we as Clarksville should really give it a try. Thank you.
Any other councilperson? McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just asked the Planning Commission staff that as you go back through the zoning code and start looking at rezonings, that maybe we talk about a classification that would apply to tiny homes that wouldn't be in a higher density classification like R4. Thank you. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. I was waiting for that. All right, any more comment or question regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shakinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
No.
Ms. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
8 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 15 passes. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 16, 20, 24, 25, first reading. The Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made
Second.
and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 16. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 16? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shakinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
No.
Ms. McLaughlin?
No.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
No.
It's 8 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 16 passes first reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 15, 2024, 25, and a resolution approving right-of-way abandonment of an alley near Bogard Lane. I make a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 15. Any comment or question from council regarding Resolution 15? Councilperson Reynolds.
Yes, I would like to ask the council to vote no on the next three resolutions. I understand that there are some reasons behind the abandonment, but we have a lack of canopy cover and green space in our community. We continue to infill, and these are open lots that could be turned over to the forester, and we could plant trees while we are fixing some of our coverage. These would just be small islands in our community that wouldn't have a piece of cement on them, and the city would own them. We could plant them, so they did not need to be maintained. So, for sustainability purposes, I would ask that you vote no on these. Thank you.
All right, any other comment or question from council regarding Resolution 15? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, Madam Clerk. All right, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 15 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 16, 2024, 25, a resolution approving a right-of-way abandonment near Trough Springs Road. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 16. Any comment or question regarding Resolution 16? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 16 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 17, 2024, 25, a resolution approving a right-of-way alley abandonment near 7th Street. I make a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 17. Any comment or question from council regarding it? Resolution 17. Hearing none, seeing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
No.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 17 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
That finally concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Yeah, without,
2 hours.
all right. We're now ready for the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the consent agenda.
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 1, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance amending the operating budgets for fiscal year 2025 for governmental funds from Ordinance 106, 2023-24, carry forward prior year appropriations and amend for newly identified items. Ordinance 3, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance accepting the donation of certain real property from Holly Point LLC to the city of Clarksville for the purpose of a sewer pump station. Ordinance 4, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance accepting the donation of certain real property from James Durrett and Mary Durrett to the city of Clarksville for the purpose of a sewer pump station. Ordinance 5, 2024-25, second reading, an ordinance approving the travel policy for the city of Clarksville and all its departments and entities. Resolution 14, 2024-25, a resolution approving appointments to the Arts and Heritage Council, the Parking Commission, the Public Building Authority, and the Senior Board. Resolution 18, 2024-25, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine at Tennessee Butcher Company, LLC, doing business as New York Butcher Shop, located at 27 Madison Street, Suite E, and the adoption of minutes from August 1st, 2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the consent agenda. Anybody wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Come back to her, please.
Ms. Allen?
Come back to her.
Ms. Reynolds? Yes. Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
Okay. 10 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
All right, consent agenda is adopted. We are now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a while since I got to say anything.
I know, it's been so long.
Finance Committee, we have ordinance 09-2024-25, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter an agreement for the purchase of easements and/or rights-of-way, or should negotiations fail, to pursue condemnation through use of eminent domain for acquisition of property for a public purpose for Memorial Drive widening project. Both the Finance and the Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committees voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made
Second.
and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 9. Any comment or question from council? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk?
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 9 passes, first reading. Chairperson Streetman.
Ordinance 10-2024-25, first reading, an ordinance amending the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2025 for governmental funds, ordinance 106-2023-24 for newly identified items. The Finance Committee recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion
Second.
been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 10. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 10? Hearing none, seeing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk?
Aye.
Ms. McLaughlin? Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yep.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 10 passes first reading. Chairperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 11-2024-25, first reading, an ordinance amending the operating budgets for fiscal year 2025 for the internal service funds, ordinance 101-2023-24 for newly identified items. Finance Committee recommended approval. You will see there is an amendment coming around, so after I make the motion and get a second, I will be introducing the amendment as well. So I make a motion.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 11. Chairperson Streetman.
Thank you. As you see, there is an amendment that has gone around. I first want to make a motion for approval of the amendment, and then I will go over it.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of this amendment.
As you'll see in the red text, that we had 2 fire trucks that were anticipated to have been here. It's a tanker and a rescue. They were supposed to be delivered by May 2024. Unfortunately, they still have not arrived. So the unused funds will return to the fund balance so that they can be reappropriated for fiscal year 2025.
Any comment or question regarding this amendment?
Motion approval for the amendment.
Motion, thank you. Motion been made. Do I hear a second? We've done that twice, so it's in good shape. All right.
Solid.
All right. We're voting on the amendment. Madam Clerk, you know what to do.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
It's 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment's adopted. We're now on the ordinance as amended. Any comment or question regarding this ordinance as amended? Seeing none, hearing none, Madam Clerk, do it again.
Ms. Markey? Ms. Markey?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Streetman?
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab?
Yes.
Ms. Lovato?
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Mayor Pitts?
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 11 as amended is adopted. First reading. Chairperson Streetman.
In less than 10 minutes, I conclude my second report.
Okay. All right, an average of 6 hours. Okay. Gas and Water Committee, anyone have that report in the absence of the chair? Seeing none, you'll have a full report next month. Neighborhood and Community Services Committee, the birthday guy, Chairperson Shekinab, you are recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Community, Neighborhood, and Community Services Committee report for September. Our next meeting will be on Monday, the 9th of September at 4:30 in the City Hall Conference Room on the 4th floor. The next Homeless Coalition meeting will be held on September the 11th at 2 p.m. at the Clarksville Montgomery County Community Action Agency. Items on the agenda includes youth and seniors experiencing homelessness, centralized service provider registry, barriers to services and sheltering. The Clarksville Montgomery County Long-Term Recovery Group will host its voluntary organization Active in Disasters launching on the 9th of October at Freedom Point. The Community Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster is a coalition of nonprofits, faith-based groups, and other organizations that collaborate to coordinate disaster responses and recovery efforts, using effective and efficient assistance to those impacted by a disaster. Organizations interested in serving on this new community of volunteers may contact the Community and Neighborhood Services or the Director, Michelle Austin, at michelle.austin@thecityofclarksville.com. The City of Clarksville is partnering with the United Way to offer free tax preparation through the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. The Internal Revenue Service Program provides free tax information in preparation and electronic filing for low to moderate income taxpayers using community partners and volunteers. CNCS is currently recruiting volunteers. No prior tax experience is necessary, and all training will be provided. If you have any special talent that may help this volunteer income tax assistance program, please contact Clarksville Neighborhood and Community Services. At the present, the department has 21 homes and rehab projects in various phases of development, including 4 for reconstruction. There are 32 clients in the rental-based assistance. 5 clients have a pending lease. 5 clients are not renewing for a second year. You can follow the Clarksville Neighborhood and Community Services on Facebook, or for more information on these topics and others, just reach out directly to Clarksville Community and Neighborhood Services. This concludes my report, Mayor.
Excellent report. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're ready for Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Fort Defiance will host Severe Day on September 14th from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. This annual event focuses on the frontier and colonial history of Clarksville. Native American and frontier reenactors will demonstrate flint knapping, an authentic blacksmith operation, frontier camp life, and flintlock musket firing. This event is free and pre-registration is not required. And I have to say, if you haven't been out to Fort Defiance in a while, I went out a couple weeks ago for the wood carving demonstration, and I still have all of my fingers. So
that's a victory.
experience a day of mourning at Smith Traherne Mansion with County Historian Carolyn Farrell. Join us on September 21st for a special program demonstrating the mourning customs of the 19th century. We will explore practices influenced by Queen Victoria, some of which continue to modern day. Registration is required for that event. Fright on Franklin will return to downtown Clarksville on Saturday, October 26th. Register now for a free candy booth at this year's event to distribute candy or promotional items at no cost to the attendees. Registration closes on October 10th. The Clarksville Downtown Market was voted the #1 farmers market in Tennessee by American Farmland Trust.
Good job, Mr. Chairman.
I'm taking full credit for that. This prestigious recognition comes as part of the 16th annual America's Farmers Market Celebration, a nationwide event that celebrates the vital role farmers markets play in communities across the country. The market season is still ongoing, running every Saturday from 8 a.m. until 12 through October 5th. And then finally, for more information and a complete list of programs, classes, and ongoing activities, you can visit clarksvilleparksrec.com or download the Clarksville Parks and Rec app available on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. And that concludes my report.
All right, any comment or question regarding this committee report? Hearing none.
Okay, at series request.
Okay. We are ready for the Public Safety Committee. Chairperson Redd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The Clarksville Police Department is now down to 10 vacancies. The Clarksville Police Department wants to alert you that you can tell your citizens about a scam. Scammers are calling people pretending to be law enforcement and claiming that there's a warrant issued in their name, and they're demanding funds to be sent electronically to dismiss this warrant. Law enforcement will never request you to send money electronically to do away with a warrant. If you have a warrant, you will be served in person by a server. And so be aware of that and let your constituents know. Building and Codes, the Construction Division performed 2,786 inspection. Codes Enforcement opened 296 new cases. The Abatement Division had 56 work orders. The total revenue that we can put in the kitty is $401,038.41. Clarksville Fire and Rescue had over 1,700 calls, just over 1,700, with 71% of those calls being medical calls and 12 structural fires. And fire prevention was performed inspections on 343. And we have 10 recruits that will begin 12 weeks of training. We do have in the public safety a new city head, the Chief Court Clerk Ernie Griffin, who is now reporting in the Public Safety Committee. And on behalf of the city court, they had 1,752 citations and 1,924 violations. Half were warnings. The total revenues collected was $133,419. And Mr. Griffin discussed to the committee of having the city traffic codes updated, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any comment or question regarding Councilperson McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder to the public that Clarksville Fire Rescue invites the community to come out to their annual 9/11 ceremony at Station 1 on Wednesday, September 11th. The location is 821 Franklin Street. The ceremony begins promptly at 8:59 a.m. And every year when this rolls around, I just can't believe how far we've traveled from 2001. This will be 23 years.
Wow. Same. Councilperson Little.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to provide more resources for members of our community that may have got scam calls or anything like that, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office is the keeper of criminal civil warrants. They also have on the website, you can also do a search to see if you have any kind of active warrants criminally wise, and also you can call in directly to the department and they will further assist you also.
All right, good information. Any other comment or question regarding this committee? Seeing none, hearing none, We're ready for the Transportation Streets Garage Committee. Chairperson Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. The TSG reports are as follows for the month of August. CTS transported 47,919 total riders. 43,731 riders rode on fixed routes, which includes 9,119 seniors who rode free. Also, for the Women Expo, there was a total of 668 riders who went to the Women Expo. Also, 4,188 riders were on paratransit buses. CTS is taking applications for 3 seasonal drivers with CDLs, 1 full-time equipment maintenance technician, and a few part-time drivers. All CTS jobs are listed on the city website. Now we'll move on to the street department. For their reports for August are as follows. Paving was completed at Ashland Hill subdivision, Richview Park subdivision, Paradise Hill Road area, and Mills Wood area. Today, Whitfield Roundabout is open to all traffic at Nemore Road. Peaches Mill Road sidewalks. Man, I tell you.
You have the floor.
Peaches Mill sidewalks is 50% completed. Cunningham Road school crossing is completed. Sidewalk completed at Richview School to Crow Center. Crossing Avenue and Richview Road sidewalks will begin sometime this month. And also on Roe Deer Drive and Northeast sidewalks. The bidding process opened August the 23rd, and it is now still going on. That concludes that report. Let's go to the city garage. The report for the month of August, the total number of citywide work orders was 426. Total part cost for all city vehicles was $56,743.29. Also, a fuel that was purchased by the city garage for on-site fuel pumps. They purchased 2 times for unleaded and for diesel. The cost for unleaded was $133,589.52. Also, again, unleaded total for the gallons was 47 gallons, 669. For the diesel, total cost was $31,235.87, and the diesel total gallons was 11,864. That was the gallons, okay? Fuel cost for unleaded to this day was, which was on July the 30th, $2.72 per gallon, and the last delivery was July 30. It was a decrease of 2% from $2.78 on June 2024. The fuel cost for diesel was $2.60 per gallon. The last delivery was July 31st, 2024, and a decrease of 7% from $2.80 on June 28, 24. This concludes my reports.
Okay, any comment or question regarding this committee report? We're now ready for old business.
Mayor?
Yes.
Before we move on, we do have the Gas and Water Committee report available on here. Could I just read that real quick? There's
Sure.
some great information.
You're recognized.
The monthly committee report for Clarksville Gas and Water. Clarksville Gas and Water recently awarded their Employees of the Quarter for the second time, for the second quarter of 2024. Employees of the Quarter are nominated by Clarksville Gas and Water employees and chosen by a committee of division managers. The recipients of this award by department division are: for service, Marquez McClure; gas, A.J. Johnson; water, Sean Summers; wastewater, Garrett Hawkins. Gas and Water will be holding 2 Customer Appreciation Days in the month of September. The first event will be held on Thursday, September 12th from 11 to 2 at the North Clarksville Service Center located at 111 Cunningham Lane. On the following day, Friday, September 13th, the second event will be held from 11 to 2 at the South Service Center of the main office at 2215 Madison Street. On both days, customers are invited to stop by and enjoy hot dogs, chips, drinks, goodie bags, and giveaways as we thank them for allowing us to serve them. That's it.
That concludes her report. All right, we're now ready for old business. Ordinance 114, 2023-24, first reading. This item was postponed at the July 2nd, 2024 regular session. Councilperson Smith is the sponsor, and you are recognized.
I make a motion to get this on the floor.
Motion made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 114. You're recognized.
The reason this
Get
proposed
that, if you
ordinance.
don't mind, get your microphone.
This microphone's in jail. Okay. This proposed ordinance was brought forth to answer questions and concerns from residents and business owners about the well-being and safety and health of the citizens and for the city of Clarksville. And I will read this ordinance, not that I want to, but I got to, I guess. Unless y'all say I don't have to, but I will.
You don't have to read
I
the
don't
entire
have to read
thing,
all of it.
no.
So, you know that I read this last week. And if you look on page, let me start where it says where there are several liquor stores here in Clarksville. We know that.
Could I interrupt you just a moment? Are you reading from your amendment or the original ordinance?
I'm reading from the amendment.
Okay. We've got
Because remember, we said that when we brought it forth that there needed to be some changes to my ordinance.
which would be an amendment.
Yeah, so this would be the amendment to the ordinance.
Okay, so,
Okay,
so we would need a motion for your amendment.
okay, a
And
motion.
then- Go ahead.
A motion for the amendment.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. Now, go
Okay,
ahead, I'm
okay,
sorry.
all right. As you all remember, we're talking about an ordinance to amend the official code, Title II, Alcohol Beverages, Chapter 2, Intoxicating Liquors pertaining to Section 2-205, Restrictions on Liquor Stores, and 2-201, okay? I guess I don't have to read all of this. Have you all read it? I'm just gonna say, I know there are gonna be some amendments to it, and that's good. But what I want to get you all to see here is this. Let's look at the statistics. The reason why we want to put a halt on the liquor stores is because if we look at the offenses here on page, I think it's on the back. Are y'all following me on page? Okay. The police department provided this. I worked with this ordinance with Mr. Bentner and also the other attorneys. It says here, we look at the offenses, we see that the reason we want to halt opening more liquor stores is because of the seriousness of the crimes. When we see here, we look here at DUI-related crashes with property damage. We see that in 2023, there was 136. There were DUIs in 2023 of 554. DUIs related crashes with injuries was 74. DUIs related to fatalities, deaths, were 5. And we see that in public intoxication arrests was 356 in 2023. Underage possession and sales of open containers was 137 in 2023 and 163 in 2022. We know that from January 2024 to May of 2024, those are just 5 months, and we see it was 80. And I believe it's on target to be a little higher. However, when we look down here where it says whereas, y'all follow me? You follow me? Okay. The expansion plan for additional retail stores in the city of Clarksville, Tennessee is unattainable and will lead to an excessive number of retail liquor stores, an overabundance of access to alcohol, and an increase in the health and safety problems associated with increased alcohol use. Whereas, it is in the best interest of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee to halt the expansion of the number of retail liquor store permits until such time as the effects of expanding the number of retail liquor stores in the city of Clarksville, Tennessee can be fully analyzed and considered to create a better resolution by January 30th of 2025. Whereas the state of Tennessee amended the definition of alcohol content by weight, high alcohol content beer having an alcoholic content of more than 8% by weight, and wine having an alcoholic content not to exceed 21% by weight volume, For alcoholic beverages and intoxicating liquor, it is necessary to amend the official city code of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, to comply with the current state law definition. Now therefore, be it ordained by the city council of the city of Clarksville, that the official city code of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, Title II, Alcohol Beverages, Chapter 2, Intoxicating Liquors, Section 2-205, Restrictions on Number of Retail Liquor Stores, paragraphs A and B are hereby deleted in their entirety and replaced with the following language. There should be no more, and you see that under A in the blue, there should be no more than 16 retail liquor stores for the sale of alcohol beverages and intoxicating liquor as defined in Section 2-201. Reserved. The limit on the number of liquor stores provided in this section shall not apply to grocery stores selling wine as permitted by the state law. Be it further ordained by the city council or the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, that the official city code of the city of Clarksville, Tennessee, Title II, Alcohol Beverages, Chapter 2, Intoxicating Liquors, Section 2-201, one definition is hereby amended to comply with the current Tennessee code as follows. At the bottom, Section 2-201 definition, whenever used in this chapter, unless the content requires otherwise. In the blue, alcohol beverages or beverages shall be as defined in the title definition of the Tennessee Code annotated Section 57-3-101, and intoxicating liquor and intoxicating drinks shall be as defined in the Tennessee Code annotated 57-2-101 as amended from time to time. So, this is to halt liquor stores, opening of liquor stores, and we will try to hold them at 16. But I know that we need to amend some things to make this a better ordinance or resolution. We brought this forth so that we could discuss this or so that we could make amendments to it. I don't own a liquor store, so whichever way it go is fine with me, but I'm just saying I don't own a liquor store, but I'm just doing what I was asked to do. I would like to halt them until we really analyze this, because there are some negative impacts. I looked at the negative impacts. The negative impacts that alcohol does for this city, the city crime rates, it increases crime rates. Public intoxication, fatal accidents, underage consumptions of alcohol, health issues, and it also causes people to do or commit crimes that are something like rape, murder. I've seen on TV where it says that the reason I raped this person because I was under the influence of alcohol. So a lot of different types of crimes are committed, and they put it on alcohol. And so we've seen that there have been many wrecks in Clarksville here recently, and I do have a copy of that. I want to just kind of look at those. I see you. We get a report from our police department. There have been wrecks back to back, 30 minutes apart, motorcycle accidents, car accidents. I think it has been about 6 within the last week, and they were fatal accidents. Not all of them, but I think it was about 3 of them died on the motorcycle. And so, you know, I know that alcohol tests are done sometimes after the accident to check the alcohol level. And I think that we need to think about trying to do something to better this. The fatal motorcycle crash on Craft Street and North 2nd Street, the person was pronounced dead at the scene. And this report came out on September the 2nd. That was a recent accident. Then vehicle versus a motorcycle crash, Fort Campbell Boulevard at Cunningham Lane. This was September the 2nd. A rollover crash, Whitfield Road at Briarwood Drive. This was also sent out on September the 1st. There was another accident which caused a roadblock at Madison Street and Greenwood. The police department responded to a single vehicle crash at the intersection of Greenwood and Madison Street. Approximately 2:50 a.m. A motorist hit the utility pole and knocked down the power lines, and Madison Street is shut down. That's when it was shut down. This is September. All this is the beginning of the week of September. And August the 31st, there was a fatal single vehicle motorcycle crash in New Providence near the Alpine waterbeds. So we see that there are wrecks after wrecks, and we need to do something. That's not all the wrecks. I'm just not going to name them all. But these happened within a week, back to back. Then there was another one, I think, today. So I'm just saying we need to do something. We need to do something. Okay, Mayor.
Okay, Councilperson McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. I passed out an amendment to the ordinance that's presented to us. I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the McLaughlin amendment. Is that an amendment to the amendment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It will be section 2-205 will be stricken, and that is the section that basically limits the number of liquor stores. I have a few comments to support this. One is that when the sponsor of the amendment in front of us prior to mine brought this forward for discussion a few months ago, it was at the encouragement of a liquor store owner who obtained 2 liquor store certificates and then had a sudden change of heart and compassion for alcohol abusers. Yet that liquor store owner has not turned in certificates of compliance, has not put his liquor stores up for sale. Usually I don't look at Facebook comments, but I did look at the Clarksville Now Facebook comments on this article from last week. And the citizens see right through it also. One comment said, "Current liquor store owner would appreciate no more competition. Are super duper concerned about us poor citizens, but just not enough to give up their licenses. It's okay if they contribute to DUIs, just not anyone else." That's where this came from. Again, it's not about DUIs. The previous speaker mentioned accidents that have happened already this month. I have received those same press releases as well as everybody else in this voting body. Not a single one of those accidents referred to DUI being involved. Not a single one. So I take that as a scare tactic to try to get us to go along with this amendment. There's no proof that in the DUI statistics provided by the sponsor that the people who received those DUIs bought their alcohol at a liquor store. Where else can you buy alcoholic beverages in Clarksville? Gas stations, grocery stores, several other places in Clarksville. Every month, practically, we have a new application for somebody to receive a certificate to sell wine in a grocery store. The sponsor of this has never voted no on any of those, including tonight. Not a single person in this voting body voted no on the one that was on the consent agenda. Why just liquor stores? There are other things in this community that negatively impact our population besides liquor stores. Let's talk about check cashing places and title places that bind people who are already in financial distress to more financial distress. We're not limiting the number of other businesses in Clarksville that could be deemed detrimental to the public. Why liquor stores? Because one person decided he got his 2 certificates and doesn't want anyone else to have it, because it's more competitive for him to have the cap put back in. And I'll remind you, in the past when I tried to lift the limit, this is the same person who was in line asking me to please lift the limit. He got his certificates and he's done. Other comments on Clarksville Now related to this article. Has anyone thought about limiting vape shops, car washes, or Dollar Generals? Restricting the number of stores violates the rules of free market society and does nothing to reduce the amount of alcohol-related offenses. Let the free market determine how many stores a community can handle, rather than restricting the ability to a few stores who are the elite few. Again, has anyone thought about limiting other businesses in Clarksville? What is the positive of this other than creating a monopoly for a few businesses? Seems extremely corrupt. I can go on and on and on. I usually don't fall into the Facebook rabbit hole, but our citizens have made comments here about the ridiculousness, in their opinion, of this motion coming forward. So, like so many people had said, let's open it up to the free market. If somebody feels like they can survive in Clarksville by opening a liquor store, let them apply for a certificate of compliance that would be approved by us, just like the previous certificate to sell wine in a grocery store that was unanimously passed here, and let's see what happens. So I ask that you please support this. Let's lift the limit and see what happens. Thank you.
Okay, Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Yes. I actually agree with this amendment because if we're not limiting how much alcohol a liquor store can sell, then we're not doing anything to fix the problem. At the end of the day, if all the liquor stores sell out of all their liquor, guess what's going to happen? The same DUIs, the same everything. But if we were to limit the liquor being sold in the liquor store, then we might limit something else. I just think that this amendment just limits people from being able to start their own businesses, just like every other business. And I agree with what the previous speaker said. We're not limiting anything else in our city. Why are we limiting alcohol? And I don't drink, by the way.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I do want to give credit to the sponsor of the amendment that's before us now. That was some very great points that you made. However, I will say that I'm actually not in favor of making it wide open, but I'm also not in favor of the original ordinance that's before us here tonight. We've only had this in place now. I think we've done this lottery system a couple of times. The Madam Clerk is shaking her head to verify that I am correct on that. I would like to see us maybe do that for a little while longer, see how that process continues to go. I do think there are some changes we need to make to it, but none of this, with the exception of a little bit of language that was in the original amendment, it doesn't really address some of the things with the process I think could be corrected. So for me, again, I think you made great points about other things not being regulated. I do think the liquor store industry is regulated just a little bit differently already on the state level than other businesses are. So I do kind of look at it differently because the state's already regulating. That's why I think gives us that opportunity to regulate it some, and not wanting to have liquor stores, really on every corner opening up, or as one of my fellow council members has commented before, having them all kind of end up being congregated in specific areas of the city. So I think those are some things that we may want to look at and clean it up. But like I said, I can't support just stopping them all together because, again, that's really not fair. We've barely given it a chance with growing from where we are, and our population has grown substantially in that amount of time. And I am speaking as someone that has lost a family member due to a drunk driver. So I understand the impact that a drunk driver can have on a family. However, as was stated by a previous council member, just taking them all the way just stopping where we're at now really doesn't change that without having a lot of other things change. So for me, I'm kind of a no all the way around and staying where we are, but I thank everybody for their work on this.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you all for all of y'all's comments and what you said. And I hear you. But it was something said that just shook me. That the statistics were scare tactics, or what I said was the scare tactics. I'm not here to scare anybody. The statistics that I receive are from the police department. Chief Crocker provided these, and I'm sorry that someone would say that these are scare tactics. These statistics don't lie. So sometimes we said things because we don't want to vote, because we mad at the person who liquor store we went in and went off on that person. Went off on the person, cussed the person out. But that is not the person who I talked to who asked me to do this. As a matter of fact, it comes from someone else, has nothing to do with that person she's talking about. I haven't talked to him. But she went in his store and cut up, bought some liquor, didn't want it, mad, and cussed the man out. So I didn't talk to the man about this. He was not the one, but like I said, these are statistics. And I know Chief Crocker didn't give me no false statistics. We have underage driving, underage people drinking. And we sit here and try to play it down. It tickles me. Because what you're doing is setting your grandchildren, your children up for failure for the future. They're our leaders. But when they get involved in drinking, and whether you could have tried to stop it or try to prevent the ongoing consequences of maybe it could be your grandchildren, my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, who are our future leaders. We sit here and play things down when we have a chance to make a difference. No, people buy liquor at liquor stores. We're not saying to get drunk at the liquor store. But statistics don't lie. Not when it comes from Chief Crocker. And this is not a scare tactic. All of the accidents that occurred, we don't know if they were under the influence of alcohol or not. Because most of the drug alcohol tests are done after the fact, especially if they died at the scene. I know what I'm talking about. I worked at the hospital, in the emergency room at Blanchfield Army Community Hospital when I was a young girl. So I know how the system operates. It might be a little different, but I know these statistics are not lying. And so we say, now those of you who are running, you got a chance to make a difference. Your constituents are looking at you today. They're complaining to me. So I don't see that this is all right. We have a chance to make a better decision to change the trajectory and the policies of opening unnecessary liquor stores to help decrease crime for the city and for our grandchildren and great-grandchildren who are our future leaders. Many of you are running, as I said, for re-election. People are talking about, please do something. They are depending on you to make good changes for the betterment of this city. Like I said, I don't own a liquor store. But they put you in office to be a great leader, not somebody that just go along with something, talking about a scare tactic. There's no scare tactic in these statistics. And I stress that for a reason. When I called Chief Crocker, asked him to get the statistics, he was on it. You think he made these up? Y'all calling him a liar. Well, that's what it's saying. If you say this is a scare tactic on these statistics, that's not true. And then the person who said that I talked to a person, she went in there and cussed the man out.
Point of order,
Oh,
Mayor.
wait a minute.
Well, it's the truth.
Let's get back on the amendment.
I'm on the amendment.
All
This
right,
has
let's
to
get
do
on-
with the amendment. She cussed the liquor
Don't-
store
let's-
man out.
Mayor.
You're talking about
That's what
an
this is about.
individual. Let's talk about the amendment.
Okay, well, I ain't gonna get upset. I'm just gonna stay calm because you know why? The lies that have just been said is not true.
Okay.
I
let's-
got
on the
people that are
amendment.
calling, talking about we need to do something. These wrecks could have been from alcohol drivers. We got public intoxication here. Y'all can pull the records, ask Chief Crocker about them. And so I would be voting against her saying to strike this out. I don't care if I stand alone. I will stand up for what is right to protect the safety of this city and to help better health for the citizens, because we know that alcohol damages the brain. It damages the kidneys. That's why people on kidney machines. Some people, not all people. My brother was an alcoholic, so I know. He died at the age of 47. It kills. It's a disease. I don't care where they buy it from. And we're not here to stop anybody from opening their business. That is poor judgment, and I say that over and over again. But we just heard the pros and cons about what's so good about opening a liquor store. I tell you what's so good about it. Let me tell you about letting these people open the liquor store continuously. Let me tell you the pros. The only pro that I see is opening numerous liquor stores in Clarksville is that the city makes a profit from the liquor store license and from the taxes, which is not worth the cost of a death of any citizen. Losing one life due to a DUI is one too many. Then we have people here want to play this down when we see statistics. Nonsense. We have a chance to make a better decision, to make a change the trajectory of opening unnecessary liquor stores. Let's help decrease the crime for this city. We said we're about the good health of the city. We're about the safety of our citizens. But do we really show it when it's time for us to stand up for what is right? No. We go along with whoever. Like I said, I don't own a liquor store. I brought this forth because I was approached by an attorney and someone else, but it has nothing to do with what she was talking about, because I don't even know who she is talking about. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Little?
I like how she grabbed the mic. I want to try it. I will say, I appreciate the effort that's being put into, and I see the heart and I see the passion that you have for it, and I appreciate the effort you put into it, and then also with the amendments. I just want to give everybody a bigger picture of everything, so you put it into perspective. This requires a deeper conversation and deeper thinking to get to the root of what causes a lot of these DUIs. As of right now, the liquor store is it's dwarfed in comparison to the amount of places in Clarksville where you can get access to alcohol. I think we're forgetting bars, restaurants, grocery stores, gas stations, and Chuck E. Cheese sells beer. So I understand that there is a lot more that needs to be discussed and had, but and a lot of the control that we do have ourselves would be control over the amount of liquor stores we can allow. And so compared to what the state will just sign off on if you present the right paperwork and have the right settings for it. So do I feel like it needs to be wide open? No, I don't feel like it needs to be wide open. We have about 200 plus places to get alcohol right now. And so that dwarfs in comparison to what, the 16 that liquor stores? So I feel like doesn't need to be wide open, but I do think there need to be some amendments made to kind of keep control on what we can to further help those, and then also deeper conversation to assist those who need that help. And maybe us look into, instead of stopping free market and people wanting to do that, to educating and providing different services for these individuals. So that's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. We will now hear from Ms. Deanna McLaughlin.
Call for the question.
Okay. If there's no objections, we're calling for the question. Any objections?
I do object.
I object.
I do too.
Okay, we have object then. Well, let's go around and vote. Set it up for us.
Two-thirds.
I did good. Put that one little thing.
Okay, here we go.
All right, did I hear a second on the question? Okay. We got a second on the question? All right, that's a non-debatable motion. Requires 2/3, which is 8 of us. Madam Clerk, you know what to do. We're voting to cease discussion on the McLaughlin amendment.
Mr. Red,
No.
Ms. Markey,
No.
Ms. Smith,
No.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Streetman,
No.
Mr. Shekinab,
Yes.
Ms. Lovato,
Yes.
Mr. Zacharias,
No.
Ms. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Mr. Little,
No.
Mayor Pitts.
No.
It's 5 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
All right. The call for the question fails. We're back on the list. Councilperson Zacharias, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. This was already kind of a confusing thing to vote on before the amendment, because there is part of it that we need to pass, okay? The city's definition of what is considered an alcoholic beverage needs to be updated. I don't like the amendment as it was currently written. I'm not a huge fan. I'm sorry, I don't like the ordinance as it was originally written. I'm not a huge fan of the amendment, but I would prefer to vote on an amended version that would lift restrictions than I would to vote on an amendment, or I'm sorry, on an ordinance that would impose restrictions. So I'm going to vote in favor of the amendment, and should it pass, I will make a motion to defer to give the council time to do our due diligence and look at what an unrestricted issuance of liquor licenses would look like. We already have people in our community complaining about too many of other, we'll call them vice shops or whatever. I don't want to add to that. So, and then if that motion to postpone the vote on the amended ordinance were to fail, I would have to vote against the amended ordinance. Thank you.
Councilperson Redd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't drink either, and which is a miracle considering how long I've been here. But
You mean tonight?
I used to. You know, the 21st Amendment repealed the 18th Amendment to the Constitution whenever it was completely illegal, an illegal substance. And the Constitution says that we have, as citizens, if we so choose, to consume alcohol. I think if we put the limits, if they're strict limits or just more stores, the only thing that you're doing to someone, I know that it would have been that way for me when I drank. I would just drive further to the store if there was only one store here to get a bottle of wine. But now, and I think someone mentioned this before, wine can be bought in Kroger or any grocery store. And it's like years ago, one time, I remember my brother said, we never drank hard liquor, but we drank wine or beer. And it's like someone said one time, this would do the trick, if you know what I mean. It's not that you have to have hard liquor. I don't understand how you can stop traffic accidents or these things by putting limits on a business that's legal. And I know that there's a lot of people, and I don't want to get too much on to this subject. I just want to give this example. People are saying that there shouldn't be so many gun sales or gun stores like in Tennessee, and that would reduce the amount of gun crimes. But we know in major cities where it's the strictest, you see the most gun violence. But there may be evidence, and I could be wrong, there may be evidence, and if someone knows the evidence of restricting the number of liquor stores in a city or county or municipality, I would like to see the evidence, quite frankly. I mean, if you're going to, let me give you the bottom line. If you're going to allow one, you have to allow anyone then that meets the guideline. Now, someone made the statement that I just don't want no limits or whatnot. But remember, with every business, there's a limit. And that limit will be, if there's too many of something, it's the marketplace that will provide the limit. Believe me, businesses, most businesses, the vast majority that start in the first year, they go under just because there's too many or because they're not a very good store. So it's not as if we passed the McLaughlin Amendment here and we don't have a limit. There's always the limit of the customer, in my opinion. And like all businesses, this has to be a very competitive business because, like I said, and like others mentioned too, you can walk into the grocery store, you can buy wine, beer, wine coolers, and all this at no limit. And you can go into the gas station and buy these things. And it does seem right, even if it's just the appearance, that we're giving out certificates just a certain, which I'm not making any accusations against anybody, but it could have the appearance of being inappropriate just to allow this guy or this guy. And then especially if somebody that's already got their liquor license and got his store running and he wants to speak out against anybody else opening a store, for me that just doesn't seem right. So, but again, I'm against alcohol, I'm against drinking. It's terrible for you, it's terrible for your liver, terrible for your mind and everything else. But whatever the drink is in, that the container, if it's a can of beer, if you have enough of them, you're intoxicated. If it's a bottle, if it's wine, you drink enough glasses of wine, you're intoxicated. The only thing with liquor is it's just a more potent substance, and it doesn't take as much to get you, intoxicated quicker. But I really, again, can't see evidence where heavy government restrictions would help with this problem whenever you go right to the gas station. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I wanted to say that one thing you have to keep in mind, and I appreciate what a speaker said earlier, that yes, we do need to change some of the language that needs to be corrected in regard to the weights, the way our city ordinance is currently written. But I think Mr. Bittner, without having to get up at the microphone, could nod his head one way or another if we'd be okay at this time leaving the language as it is and correcting it before the next one that we have. And he nodded his head yes. Thank you, sir. Second, I understand that we'd want to pass it and then maybe defer it or postpone it. The problem is that once you pass it, you might not get the votes for the postponement, and then here, a month from now, it can be approved, and we could end up with an unlimited amount. And once the genie's out of the bottle, there's no putting it back in. I don't think we can then turn around and say, well, now these people have gotten licensed, let's restrict it again. So I would just ask, we just added 2 more. It's another 2 years before we add any more. Can we just give it just a little bit longer, vote all of this down and leave us as we have it as far as at least 2 every year, or look at if we need to even change that to a different number. But that's where I stand for now. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor. One clarification, when I was questioning if alcohol was involved in wrecks, I was not referring to the statistics provided by the chief of police. I was referring to the most recent accidents that the original sponsor had mentioned. There was nothing in those press releases that stated that alcohol was involved. I was not disputing the other statistics. as far as concerns from a couple other council members about the time, if you look at the effective date on this, the effective date would be July 1st, 2025. And that will give the clerk, based on our conversation, time to bring forward changes to the procedures for applying for a permit, associated fees, et cetera. So if this amendment does pass, would not go in effect until July 2025, which will give everybody proper time to get any adjustments to the procedures ready prior to it going into effect. I also wanted to address a concern from a previous speaker. This amendment that I have in front of you only affects Section 2-205. So if passed, it would amend what the initial amendment was, which would still address Section 2-201, the definition from state law. So I just want everyone to understand that this will not change that. This is just deleting Section 2-205. I do appreciate the people who spoke and understand what this means. It's about free market. I respect everybody's opinion on this, but I just feel like we're in government business. We're not supposed to limit anybody from having an opportunity to try to start a business. I do agree with some of the other speakers. Free market will determine, or the market will determine if they're successful or not, just like in any business in our city. Thank you.
Councilperson Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for all of y'all who have given input on this. As the previous speaker said, this will not take effect until January of 2025. But my thing was is to try.
July 2025.
No, January.
July.
Wait a minute. Oh, she's talking about hers. I was talking about mine.
Oh.
Wait a minute, which?
We're on the McLaughlin amendment.
Okay, on the off time. Well, mine would be January the 30th of 2025. Okay, and so let me clear up some information that was put out, and they keep saying this. We're trying to prevent people from opening a business. That's not true. We want people to open every business they can here in Clarksville, Tennessee, because we need the revenue. But to keep opening liquor stores that's causing deaths, causing underage teenagers to drink, get in trouble. We're not being productive representatives. We're just saying something that doesn't even make sense. Common sense would say, you know what? I know my grandchildren are going to be our future leaders. We need to halt the expansion of liquor stores for the simple fact they could be walking down the street one day, somebody just come out of a liquor store. I'm just using this as an example, and could get shot. It happens today. We're going to become a New York city if we continue to allow. Let me tell you something. I remember when we first had, liquor stores have been restricted before this ever came about, before we voted on this. It was restricted for a long time. And what we're saying, we're not trying to stop anybody from opening a liquor store. We just want to try to see if we can help decrease underage drinking. We want to help decrease crime. We have not even put it into effect to see if this is going to make a difference. But we just start hollering, we use poor judgment. We trying to stop somebody. That's the poorest judgment you can, I don't understand it. We need to make some decisions that are important, that are relevant for a safety Clarksville and to help our children. But anyway, I'm gonna say this. Also, limiting opening liquor stores may help decrease crime. It may help decrease rape, murder, all kind of crimes. We haven't tested it to see. But when we don't want to do something, or we mad at somebody, we'll take I ain't gonna do it. We stopping people from their business. Let's be real. Let's look at this situation. We're representatives. What are we? I mean, I'm serious. I'm sitting here like in disbelief that nobody wants to see about trying to make Clarksville a safe place to live. We talk about it all the time. But we right back at square one. Let's just let them open up some more liquor stores. Wait until we become like a New Yorker. I had one of the citizens who owned a liquor store said, Miss Smith, and I'm gonna tell you what he told me. He said, you know what, you voted against opening up more liquor stores, and you were right. You spoke against that. He said, you're right. He said, I lived in a state where they had so many liquor stores, and there's so many murders, so many deaths, so many accidents, so many wrecks. That's what he told me walking out the door. I could call his name, but I won't do it. He might be sitting in here. But anyway, let us think about this thing. I'm not going to be mad either way it go, because like I said, I'm just trying to put something forth where we can make a professional decision to do better about our city, to make a change. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, for the final word on her amendment, Councilperson McLaughlin.
Call for the question.
Question's been called for. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Properly second. Any objection to the question? Hearing none. Okay, we're voting. Okay, we're ceasing discussion, and we're now voting on the McLaughlin amendment. Madam Clerk.
Ms. Markey.
We're voting on the, just to clarify, we're voting on the McLaughlin amendment with this pretty color on here.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
No, big no.
Ms. Allen.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
No.
Ms. Streetman.
No.
Mr. Shekinab.
Yes.
Ms. Lovato. No. Mr. Zacharias.
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Little.
No.
Mayor Pitts.
No.
I get to
I
vote
forgot.
too, don't I?
Yeah, Councilperson Red.
Did you vote?
Oh.
Mr. Red.
Yes.
It's 7 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
The amendment is adopted. We're now on the amendment. We're now on the ordinance as amended. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to defer until the October regular session.
Motion been made to defer ordinance 114 as amended until the October 2024 regular session, properly seconded. Any comment or question regarding that? Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
May I ask what for?
You're recognized.
Thank you.
So that we can discuss it.
Hang on, let the sponsor of the, you're recognized.
Making the motion to give everybody an opportunity to do some research as to what an unrestricted issuance of liquor licenses would look like in Tennessee. Or I'm sorry, in Clarksville.
Councilperson McLaughlin.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilperson Smith.
Okay, I think that's the best thing to do than to just kill it. I think we do need to give some input, all of us, and not let us just make a quick decision based upon because you don't like somebody or, you know, because somebody says something to you and all that. We need to stop that. That's childish. Let us be professional and make great decisions for the good of this city. So I thank you for bringing that forth. We got to stop being petty. We got to be adults. Thank you.
Councilperson Markey.
Thank you. All right, so I actually did request the statistics, but I wanted you guys to kind of get more of a definitive answer. So hopefully if you guys reach out to Chief Cockrell, he has the statistics that he can pull up from way before what we were given. So for example, I pulled from 2018 until now because that's when we started the lottery up again. And since then we've added 8 liquor stores. And from the statistics, nothing has changed. It's been flatline adding liquor stores. So that's why I voted to eliminate it, because in my opinion, we've had pretty much 6 years almost Nothing's changing at all, and our population is increasing. So I'll say, get with him. I'm sure that they have more analysts out there who can read more into it, probably, but nothing's changing at all with what's happening. So I'm for just getting rid of the limit. Thank you.
Councilperson Little.
I would say since we're making such a drastic change to the way that liquor stores will be operating, I feel like it shouldn't be one that's, and I know for a fact it's not being one that's made haphazardly or quickly made, but I feel as though it should be some thought and consideration put in, and to allow each council member to give their own input and research the matter and make sure that everything, all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If I had any more analogies, I'd say it, but that's all I got.
All right, Councilperson Reynolds.
Yes, I'm sorry, I got so we mentioned the definition of is it then corrected in this amendment, or is that something that will need to be? This is the correct definition. Okay. All right, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin on the motion to defer.
Thank you, Mayor. As one of my colleagues says from time to time, if this passes tonight, we still have one more reading, which would be October. So something to consider. And then also, this isn't the first time that we as a governing body, although probably before a lot of you were here, have discussed this. Initially, this came up in 2011, 2014, 2016, and then 2021. So I know some of you are new, and that's fine, but I'm just saying this isn't the first time that that the voting body has discussed lifting the limit entirely. And again, as my colleague from Ward 4 says, ordinances have 2 readings. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 things. One, one's a little bit of a procedural question. This amendment amended this amendment.
Correct. Correct.
And so we've only voted on 1 amendment. We have to vote on the 2nd amendment before we get to the actual ordinance. Am I not correct on that?
Mr. Bittner?
This amended this amendment, which amended the ordinance.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The ordinance was already
Okay, Mr.
in place.
Bittner.
We had the original Smith brought forward, and then she amended hers, and then McLaughlin amended Smith's, and then you voted on McLaughlin first. And that's been voted on. And it passed. So then that was the ordinance as amended that you're trying, that there's the motion to continue.
We still have to vote on the amended amendments.
I don't think you do. I think you
We had-
voted.
That was
Hang
the
on, ladies
original
and gentlemen.
ordinance.
Hang on. Mr. Bittner.
I think you voted on, Ms. McLaughlin amended Ms. Smith's amendment. So then you vote on Ms. McLaughlin's amendment.
But we had a motion for approval of the ordinance, a motion for an amendment, and a motion for an amendment to the amendment. We only voted on the motion for the amendment to the amendment. So therefore, there's still 2 motions out there.
Correct.
So we still have to vote on the amendment as
Hang on,
amended
hang on.
before we can vote on the ordinance. Correct?
No. Well, hang on. Let Mr. Bittner. He's Mr. Bittner.
I believe that we've done it correctly as it is.
Yes.
If you want to give me a moment, we can check the Roberts rules. and
I
make
think
sure
we
that we're
should. I want to
doing
make sure we get it
correctly.
right, and I understand we have a deferral, and I'm okay with us getting the deferral in the right spot. But being this is a pretty big deal, I want to make sure that we do get it voted properly before somebody comes back and says we didn't.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Bittner.
we can have a moment?
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
think you're right. We're on the main question. She thinks the ordinance itself was being amended, that we gotta vote on the ordinance. You don't. It was already in place.
We'll put another Aldi, all these crashes.
7-5. No favor.
Like, I was just trying to get I said I would. I think I made it too early.
It was good though, I liked it.
What was the time on the amendment? 7-5.
7-5.
7-5.
Yes.
7 yes.
7 yes.
I got a package left back there. I had to grab.
Man, I'm never gonna get home. What time is it? 9 o'clock. Wish we'd have passed that 3-minute time limit way back when.
Yeah, I have the
You know
key
what I
and I
mean?
have the code.
We ought to try to do that for the years out. Gosh.
I'll have to figure out the alarm. Y'all are here, so
She's
so
thinking
bad. You're
that
already
we
here.
have to vote on the ordinance. See, the ordinance was already in place.
Yeah, yes.
And she amended it, and she amended the amendment, so we're back to the.
Ladies and gentlemen, remember your mics are hot. Pardon? Step up to the microphone. Yeah.
We don't vote on it, on Ms. Smith's, because it was amended, which just wiped it completely out. But I see what you're saying, maybe we should vote on that.
It's in the council chamber.
The same language that's amended in this. The main ordinance is different from the amendment you put up.
I know,
First
but
there was
it,
a motion for the ordinance.
yes,
The main motion, and then there was a motion to amend the ordinance, and that's what this is.
to amend the amendment.
No, to amend the ordinance.
So start from the beginning. So
Yes.
So there was a motion
Yes,
for the ordinance.
yes.
Lieutenant Gill?
Immediately following, there was a motion.
Not a motion for the ordinance. The ordinance is already in place. She was amended
May I ask the council members to please take their seats?
I gotta get Amber back in here.
Please.
Mayor, I'm calling for a point of information.
Hang on, we're not back in regular session yet.
Well, when we get back in, I'm calling for a point of information, because that's not.
This is one we really need now.
The irony is thick.
I know it is. It's probably her multivitamin.
Is she close?
Yeah, she had to cross out of it, baby. Oh, well. She's coming in.
While I have your attention, Lieutenant Gill wanted me to remind you when you leave the Planning Commission tonight, it'll be a tad bit darker than we're used to because of the lack of parking lot lights, street lights. Mr. Bittner, if you'll wait just a second, we're waiting on Councilperson Marquis. She's attending to a very important constituent. Her child. No. No baby under here.
You see, you have a sense of humor too.
I'm tired.
Can we just get our comments out now? I'm tired.
Getting hangry. Point well taken. Point taken.
Somebody took mine. I did.
We have a brownie thief among us. All right. Mr. Bittner, we are now back in session. Please, Mr. Bittner, enlighten us.
Point of information, Mayor.
What is your point of information?
Procedure on how they determine what has taken place, because we're all confused up here. Some is saying that we're on my question. Some is saying that we're not, and some said it was deferred or postponed. So I need to understand what is really happening at this point.
You're getting ready to find out. Mr. Bittner, you're recognized.
I hope it's the truth. I hope it's correct.
Mr. Bittner, tell the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Okay. So we looked at Robert's rules and we discussed it, the attorneys. We believe that the motion to defer that was made by Councilperson Zacharias was out of order because the motion to defer should be on the main motion. So that's out of order. We don't have to dispose of it. So we would be back to Councilperson McLaughlin's amended amendment, which has to be voted on.
Okay, so we've adopted the McLaughlin amendment to the amendment, and now we have to vote on the main ordinance as amended with the McLaughlin amendment.
Correct.
Yes.
No,
sir.
to my ordinance.
Yes, to
Yes.
your,
No, we're still
yes.
on the
Okay.
amendment.
Okay, so we're,
We have to vote on the amended amendment.
Which is the main question.
Yeah.
It's not the main.
hang on.
Yeah,
hang
so
on.
you're voting on Councilperson McLaughlin's amendment to Councilperson Smith's amendment.
No, yeah, we did that.
We voted on the amendment.
We've done that.
So now,
And
Now
so
we're on
now
the
we're
main
on the main
amended
motion.
question.
No.
We're on the amendment as amended.
Which is
Okay,
the
hang on.
question.
Okay. Mr. Bittner.
Where's that guy with the chart?
Mr. Bittner.
Okay. So my understanding is we are going to go back to the Councilperson McLaughlin's
Hang on. Be quiet.
amendment
Let's,
of Councilperson Smith's amendment, which amends a portion of Councilperson Smith's amendment by replacing 2205, but not replacing 2201.
So
You
we've,
disagree.
we've amended the amendment,
We have amendment.
and then we've got to, and we've approved that, and now we have to vote on the amended amendment. Okay, anybody have a question about what we're getting ready to vote on?
No, that was
Okay,
right.
Councilperson Smith.
So, the amendment to the amendment. Now, you know that in that, in my amendment.
Get your mic, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. In my amendment, it, also talks about, aligning the percentage of alcohol content with the state.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll be voting to approve that.
That's intact.
That's intact.
Stays in place.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
right now, we voting on whose amendment?
The amended.
Deanna's?
Yours.
No,
Hang on, don't call her by name.
I'm sorry.
We're voting on the McLaughlin amendment to your amendment.
Yes.
No, we did that. We're voting on Ms. Smith's.
Hang on. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We've already approved, the third motion we made was for the McLaughlin amendment. We have voted one time, and that amendment was approved to amend Councilperson Smith amendment, and I'm only saying by name because that's how it's written up here at the top.
He said don't call her name.
Hang on.
As
Go
I
ahead,
said,
you have the
I'm
floor.
Reading it off the amendment. This amendment has now been amended. We now need to vote, because we have only voted once, we need to vote on the amended amendment so that we can then get to the main motion.
Do I hear a motion on the amended amendment?
Second.
Yes.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the amended amendment.
Yes.
Any question regarding the amended amendment?
That's the one with Deanna's, right?
That, don't call names, but
She just called my name.
that McLaughlin. It's the Councilperson McLaughlin's amendment to the Smith amendment.
So that's what we voting on now.
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody got it?
Yeah.
And that's just that particular section, right?
That's-
2-205.
Plus, it's striking your limit.
Mm-hmm.
That's
On
what
the-
I know,
on the-
taking limit out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote no on that.
Okay, all right.
I'm voting no on that.
Don't hide your feelings. All right. Okay, are we ready to vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
Ms. Smith,
No.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds? No. Ms. Streetman,
Yes.
Mr. Shekinab,
Yes.
Ms. Lovato? Yes. Mr. Zacharias?
Yes.
Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Red?
Yes.
Ms. Marquis?
Yes.
Mayor Pitts?
Yeah.
It's 10 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
All right, the amended amendment is adopted. Now, Councilperson Zacharias from Pretty Prairie, Kansas. What say you?
I move to defer the main motion until the October regular session.
Second.
Motion been made and unanimously seconded in favor of deferring. Councilperson McLaughlin on the motion to defer.
Same comments as before. Thank you.
Pardon?
My same reasons for not deferring as previously stated.
Councilperson Allen.
So, okay, hold on. I turned it off. I don't think we should defer, and the reason why is because, like any other amendment or anything that we bring, ordinance that we bring and we change, we always have a second vote. And this is not implemented until July, like the sponsor, not the original sponsor, but the sponsor of the amended amendment stated. So, I mean, we have time to work out the logistics of everything for July of 2025. Okay, and like I said before, there shouldn't be any. If we cannot control what someone says, we cannot control what someone does with their business. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds.
Not me.
It was me.
What was that?
Councilperson Little, and then I'll come back to you.
Call for the question.
Question been called for.
Object.
There is objection. There is objection to the question. We're going to be on the board. We're voting to cease discussion on the motion to postpone ordinance 114 as amended until the October 2024 regular session. We're voting to cease discussion. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Poor Lisa. I'll be on a plane tomorrow.
She's gonna stop by one of the 16 liquor stores.
If they're still open.
Madam Clerk.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, she's ready. Take a deep breath.
Councilperson Allen.
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds.
Ceasing discussion.
Discussion.
Cease discussion.
Councilperson Streetman.
No.
Councilperson Shekinab.
Yes.
Councilperson Lovato.
Yes.
Councilperson Zacharias.
No.
McLaughlin.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Red.
Yes.
Marquis.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
And Mayor Pitts.
Yes.
See if that makes 2/3.
9 yes, 3 no, 0 abstain.
Okay, the motion to cease discussion passes.
Yes.
We are now voting on the motion to postpone until the October 2024 regular session. Okay, all members, please vote.
Reynolds. Yes. Streetman.
Yes.
Shekinab.
No.
Lovato.
Yes.
Zacharias.
Yes.
McLaughlin.
No.
Little.
Yes.
Red.
No.
Marquis.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Allen.
No.
Mayor Pitts.
Yes.
8 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
Okay, the motion to postpone ordinance 114 until the October 2024 regular session is adopted. We're now ready for council member comments. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized for comments.
Okay, I'm gonna make this real quick. Can y'all hear me?
You got your mic on?
No. Hello? Okay. So, this is the season, my favorite season of the year, football season. And I'm not here just to talk about football, but what I didn't know, and maybe you all knew, is that there is a women's semi-pro football team right here in Clarksville. They are the Tennessee Trojans. And when the regular football season is over, then they start playing, and it's tackle and everything. So the season does not have to end. I would say the owners of the team are veterans, and they would like to open up the market here in Clarksville. They do live here in Clarksville. The coach lives here in Clarksville and everything like that. They just weren't sure how to get with the city of Clarksville. So I think we should embrace them. And so they won't have to run to Nashville. They do play one home game here at Austin Peay once a year. So I would ask that we come together and support a local semi-pro team. That's all I got.
Any other comments? Let me wish a happy birthday to the member from Ward 11 again. You may have had two while we've been in here. And Councilperson McLaughlin is on the 14th, Councilperson Zacharias on the 19th. Happy birthday. And a special thanks to the IT staff, Clarksville Police Department, our Safety and Security Department for arranging for us to be in the Regional Planning Commission. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we're done.